Okay.
Like every Monday night, you are checking out Breakfast Super Raw.
Bon appetit, as Don, Tony, and Mish dish out their opinions about the world of pro wrestling, sports, news, and pop culture. Breakfast Super Raw.
And now, your host, Mish and Don Tony.
Hi, everybody.
Wait. On the count of three, say that very thing again. Ready?
Hi, everybody. How's it going? This is Anthony DeBlasi of Breakfast Soup.
I look like Funaki here. Indeed. All right, let me let everybody know what's going on. We had a little bit of miscommunication over here. I had announced that I was going to be doing the Wednesday Night Dynamite show, but I was going to bring my partner in crime on tonight to discuss the releases and a couple other tidbits. My buddy Mish thought that we were doing a Discord show, so he does not have his camera stuff set up. And honestly, we both didn't want to make anybody wait, more time to start setting everything up. So for tonight, you get my face, you get a still shot of Mish, and we should be able to take some calls tonight.
Oh,
we'll
don't
test
lie
it out.
That's actually a live picture of me. I'm just not moving.
Exactly. So, look, tonight I planned, last week I did a show at 8:05 p.m. It's actually right around that time now. Then some news broke today, and everybody and their mother wants to come up at 8 o'clock, to get everybody to tune in. And look, I think this is a pretty big story. Now, I will say this. See this? It's only 3 pages, but the print is very, very small. This is all the WWE releases since 2005. Now, obviously, I'm not going to go through every single release since then, but Rob Van Dam on his social media, maybe a week ago, said, every year, WWE has some releases and sometimes some big names. And everybody acts triggered, everybody acts surprised, everybody does this and everybody does that. And look, no disrespect to Renee Young. I absolutely adore her. And I always took pride that if you look at my social media history, I have never criticized her at all. And I'm not criticizing her now. But in my opinion, when she tweets that the company is mismanaged and this and that, when you look at WWE's worth over $1 billion, and besides, the WWE stock went up today at 11 o'clock this morning. It dropped down, a little bit. There was a little bit of a sell-off. Then they made the announcement at 12 o'clock of 6 releases. And by the end of closing, the stock was up over $1. Now, that may not sound like a lot, but the thing is, when you got $1 billion company, Microsoft, IBM, Amazon, who's that chick on TV? The one that's going off the air after 20 years. What's her name? That everybody's now accusing her of all this horrible treatment.
Oh, the conservative girl.
No, she's Ellen DeGeneres.
Ellen DeGeneres, yeah.
I mean, billion-dollar companies. Honestly, I don't know a billion-dollar company that when you walk through the front door, instead of a metal detector, you got snowflakes and rose petals on the floor and little bunnies jumping around. And everybody greets you and puts like one of those tribal chief rose petals around your neck. and they give you like a neck rub and maybe a little bit of a latte and sit down and you go into like an airbed pillow. No. Business is business.
Right.
And in my opinion, once again, I see all these people online. They should have did this. They shouldn't have done this. They should have fired this one. They shouldn't have fired this. And the first thing I do 9 times out of 10 is I look at their own employment history. Isn't it amazing that most of the people out there that want to tell you how business should be done and how hirings and firings should be done, they seem to understand, they seem to have the answer why this person should be fired or why this person should not be fired, yet they can't seem to figure out why they were fired or they can't get a job. Worry about your own backyard before you think you have the answer for everybody else. And my God, the disrespect once again, people throwing around names. It happens almost every year now. People just, they don't want to be right. They want to be first, and they start throwing names out there that they're convinced are released. Now, a few people made an honest mistake today because there was a little rumbling earlier about Liv Morgan. And so I understand why there was a couple of people there, but there were other people that were throwing names out there, and Jackson Riker's name flew around, and this one flew around, and you know why they were doing that? To try to build that momentum, get this fucking guy out of the door.
Well, the weird thing about that, though, is too, and you're right, you see the random names popping out there. I almost wonder, do you think those people think that they're influencing WWE at that moment? Like,
yes.
I really have a strong belief that people think when WWE come out with these lists of names that are fired, this was all last-minute ideas. Like WWE right now, just this minute, decided to randomly fire 5 people. As opposed to, this is something that's probably been built up for months. Probably the recipients had an idea if their contract was coming to an end or if there was some kind of discrepancy and I don't want to jump right into it, but even with the Braun idea, they were talking about, they were bringing up the fact that before Braun talked about on his previous contract, he was making upwards of $1 million a year. And now you're coming into after COVID where people were being released, and even in 2020, where people were being released, and some people were smart. And I think me and you and even Joey talked about this, where some people said, I'll take a pay cut just to stay. And, you start putting 2 and 2 together. It's not very difficult to wonder who was willing to work with the company in order to further their own careers and who might not have been.
Yeah, but,
Okay.
And this is going to be a weird episode tonight, everyone. I think Mish and I are going to say stuff that a bunch of people are going to agree with and a bunch of people are going to disagree with. And then we're going to say something else that might be the total opposite. Trust me, it's going to be a little bizarro tonight.
I just want to hit the bus flip noise. God damn it.
I know. Do you have the special effect at least? I've never heard the bus flip noise.
Yeah, we have a whole song.
All I have is this tonight.
There's a song, there's lyrics, there's dancing.
Well, am I going to get flagged for copyright stuff? I don't want to get flagged with copyright stuff. Maybe it's better we don't.
I don't have it ready, dude. It's
okay. All right. Look, I agree what you're saying about maybe some people did not want to renegotiate their contracts.
Right.
Now, I have said, even since last year, this idea that you keep an extra 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 people on payroll because it's the right thing to do during COVID is just moronic. This is not an episode of Star Trek where they beam onto a different planet and, like they walk into some store to buy, I don't know, ship equipment. And there's like 35 people working inside the place, but there's like no business and no customers. Like, where's all the customers? We haven't had a customer in 95 years. Well, why are all these people working here? Well, because we have a pandemic and it's the right thing to do. I mean, come on. Sell me that in 1967. Don't sell me it in 2021. So I've been saying since February of last year, you don't keep all these extra people on payroll if you know that you're not going to be using a good chunk of them like you normally do. It's an entertainment company. It's not a feel-good company. But you're getting out of COVID. You just announced a 29, 25 city tour. Braun Strowman, for example, in my opinion, is one of the top wrestlers of that company. He is 6'7", 300-something pounds. He's not going to do fucking Matt Sydal flips. He is a big man. His arsenal is supposed to be a big man. I still think back to the very moment where, to me, he was at the pinnacle of his career. Wasn't technically, but to me it was. Feuding with Roman Reigns, and that son of a bitch got tremendously over with the crowd. And I brought it up on the shows over the years. Just hear me out for a minute. And Roman Reigns getting shitted out of the building. Everybody was, for the most part, was into Braun Strowman beating the fuck out of this guy. And then out of nowhere, they made him do this forced promo. Just like all of you, I hate Roman Reigns. And I remember that night covering on the show, I'm like, the fuck was that about? And then they forced it and forced it and forced it and forced it and forced it. And to me, it's never been really the same. And the thing is, you're about to hit 25 cities. All right? You have the lowest ratings in the history of Raw. Don't give me Memorial Day because WWE's landed on Memorial Day for decades. All right? This is the worst rating in the history. That should tell you something. So, you mean to tell me with crazy-ass profit and going back on the road and wanting to sell out 10, 15,000 seat buildings, if Braun Strowman said, nah, I don't want to renegotiate, I lock my contract. You mean to tell me that is that big of an amount? If you told me he was making $5 million a year, I'd say, yeah, you know what? Maybe he's now a little injury prone and this and that, and but let's also be honest. Whoever in creative came up with that fucking choo-choo thing, I mean, how come none of them are being released? Is it because
they probably
Mish?
have? There was a bunch of staff that was released. That one was quiet though.
The rumor.
Yes, there was regular staff that was, because what they did was they took down films, they took down the
right, but that has nothing to do with choo-choo. Well, has nothing to do with the choo-choo.
They take down production, and then they put it all into the TV department underneath Kevin Dunne.
Yeah.
So yeah, they did some staff cuts in production as well, but it's like now they've merged 4 different parts of the company underneath Kevin Dunne. So there was firings that nobody really talked about.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because frankly, we don't know a lot of the people and what they were in charge of in those departments. We just know that they've been consolidated.
Well, we could talk about Braun Strowman first. And by the way, let's just throw all of the names out there so everybody could, know who was released if you've been under a rock, and then we'll get into it. We got quite a few things to talk about because I'm actually going to defend some fans out there and something I've never defended before, but I'll try to explain it a little bit. I think I have to take some fan side on a few things, but obviously Braun Strowman was released today. Wow, I just creeped out for a minute. I honestly thought your picture just moved. I'm not kidding. I looked over and it. So Braun Strowman was released. Aleister Black was released. Oh, trust me, we have a lot to talk about there. Ruby Riott has been released.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Lana being released. Sorry, Aaliyah.
Honestly, that's the only release on this list that I was like, you know what? Good. And I don't mean that in any negative way towards Lana. I know we're going to talk about her in a minute.
Santana Garrett.
But out of all the names, yeah, dude, out of all the names, Lana was the only one that I was like, wow, that's good. And I don't mean because I think she would do a lot better with her husband. I'm sorry. I'm going to be that guy that says, you know what? I miss the Ravishing Russian. I miss the Bulgarian Brute. I miss those two together because they did very well together. I don't know if it'll ever happen. But if there's the potential there for it to happen, I'm in favor of it.
I totally disagree.
Really?
I'll tell you why. Let's talk about Lana first. We can go back to Braun Strowman. Let's talk about Lana first. You and I.
Go for it.
All right. Look, Mish and I do not talk beforehand other than, hey, you want to do the show tonight?
Right.
Yeah, we'll do it. Hey.
Yeah, sorry I don't have the camera, folks. It'd be a little bit more visual here, but,
By the way, for all of you out there, if you want to call in tonight. We're going to test it out. Now, I will tell you, I don't have my full program installed here. So I will tell you this. If we get trolls, their caller IDs are going to be over here, and we're not accepting, block numbers and stuff like that.
Can I call collect?
No 1-800-COLLECT or 1-800-CALL 1010-220, whatever it was. But if it turns into a Joey 924 brigade, then we'll just stop it. And then next week when we start taking calls again, I will have some nice programs going around in the background. So if anybody wants to play, I could play 10 times worse.
All right.
So some of you out there want to know the number. Now, see, I had everything set up so cool today. So when it was ready to actually do the show, I was actually going to do something like this. Hey. Oh, wait. Oh, fuck, because your picture is there. I'm going to have to somehow fix that. All right. I just realized that. Okay, that kind of sucks. But, yeah. Well, actually, you know what? I could do something like this.
Change the layer order. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we could do that, and then I'll probably just have to, adjust your picture down or something. But, yeah, we were going to be, in the background and have people call in, and then when they're done calling in, we could kind of, bring it back like this. So I was playing around with some things today. I was having some fun today. It's a shame that WWE releases had to be the result of this, but let's talk about Lana first. Now, again, I don't think what I'm going to say for the most part beforehand. Sometimes it gets my mouth in trouble. But I will say this. Let me just fix this. I will say this about Lana, okay? I know you do as well. We take pride that we have stuck up for Lana for a long, long time. I know she personally appreciated you defending her with the Saudi Arabia stuff. Took a lot of balls for her to go to Saudi Arabia. When she was really working her ass off, and everybody, well, not everybody, but the usual suspects online were ripping her apart and this and that. We're hearing about depression, and then you get those people with the formula. Somebody blows their brains out. A wrestler kills themselves. Oh, we need to be better. We got to stop this bullying. We got to stop ripping people apart, this and that. And then Lana goes on TikTok, does one of her dances, and the same people start ripping her apart and everything. And then she talks about being depressed and bullied. And they're like, that's bullshit, this and that. And then you get the WWE 24 special, and she's shedding tears, and you're seeing how hard she's working because she really takes this seriously. I don't think Lana was ever going to be very good in the ring, but she worked her goddamn ass off to try to be acceptable, and everything about it was authentic. And right away these people, she's how could she be so depressed? Look at all the money and the beauty and this and that. I don't buy it until the next person blows their brains out again. Then it's the same fucking formula. We gotta just all get along again. We gotta all just get along. And it's just rip and criticizing this and that. The reason why I feel bad for Lana the most out of everybody here, the most, is because Aleister Black will kick ass somewhere. Braun Strowman, he's pretty much set for life. He's 37 years old. He's made a crazy amount of money. He could fucking go on to movies and just be Bigfoot, and it probably would work. So this guy could go to other promotions. It'll be funny to see him on the indie circuit after all his jokes about the indie circuit, but Braun, I think, will be fine. Murphy, underutilized, still could prove himself and come back. Santana Garrett, I really don't know. I think she's got to create more of a soul, like an identity that's not as similar to a lot of other people out there. Then I get to Lana, and I say to myself, you look at her ability, and it's manageable, but it's not championship material. And when you see, look, I'm a big AEW fan. And I even say a lot of the women in AEW are still fairly new to wrestling. So they're not going to get pushed right now. It's just a couple of people in the women's division.
You're missing her value.
No, but listen, I'm just talking about the wrestling aspect for a minute.
All right, well, okay.
I'll wrap it up with just saying this. When you see and you follow her, if people out there just look at TikTok videos and stuff like that, they have no clue. All right. And I think a lot of them never even bothered to look at the 24 and some of the other stuff. When you realize how hard she has been working to get back into the ring, I don't see another promotion giving her that kind of opportunity. You know, the fact that Lana worked this hard, and then for WWE, that shows how much she gave a shit about it. I don't think that when she got released, I don't think like, oh, I could now go and hang out with my husband. I don't believe that at all. I think she probably shed more tears than even before. And all of that hard work, I just don't see another promotion investing like, and I agree with I think what you're about to say, that she could be with her husband, like, and be like Mike and Maria Kanellis, although 10 times more famous. I just, when it comes to the ring, you know what I mean? It's like without all the other things, without, you know, I don't see her career ever going to be on this level again.
If Lana never wrestles again, it would not matter to me at all. You're focused on the wrestling aspect. The wrestling aspect of Lana's career, while that was something that she looked forward to, was not her strongest asset. Lana's strongest asset was being literally head above the rest as a valet/manager. She was phenomenal as the Ravishing Russian, and she did a fantastic job with her husband. If she never goes back to wrestling and she focuses on the fact that in an era without managers, she was the one that stood alone.
100% agree with you, but I don't think in her mind, I don't think that's what she wants.
If she goes to AEW and if she goes to her husband, they can easily repackage Miro with Lana and do something very similar without using the same names. They can do something very similar to what they had before. It was a mistake, and it was something that a lot of us all agreed with when they, first off, they removed Lana and Rusev, and then they did the weird Dolph Ziggler, Enzo crossover, fucking weird storyline, and then they bounced her to Bobby Lashley after a while, and it was very odd. And this was also at the time that WWE was upset that they broke kayfabe on Twitter, talking about their
TMZ.
marriage, their relationship, and everything else like that. But to the fans, I think more fans were endeared with Rusev and Lana being an actual couple. And their on-screen presence together was by far better when they were together than when they were apart. So
Totally
if Lana never wrestles again, if Lana never steps into the ring again as a wrestler, I could be okay with that, because I think her real value was overshadowed by all the other things that WWE made her do, or she was a part of for I shouldn't say make her do, but all the other things she was a part of in WWE. Total Divas, wrestling, dancing. Like, these were all aspects of her career that weren't major parts that fans were endearing to. So if any company was to pick her up, and I would assume it would be AEW because that would be the smart move, you would immediately put her back at her strongest assessment. More than anything else, she had a great position. She had a great charisma. She was a good talker. She looked phenomenal. She had the entire works as a valet/manager. Why WWE ever even permitted the idea of taking her away from that and putting her in other things, to me, was always something very silly. Now, I'm not saying that Lana shouldn't wrestle. I'm just saying that if she doesn't ever wrestle again, it won't matter to me, because the strongest aspect of her career was her charisma. And it seems like over the last few years, that's been completely annulled from WWE. So while people are seeing Naomi and Lana wrestle literally like this last week, it didn't mean anything, because Lana's position isn't best as a backup dancer to Naomi. Let's not forget, Naomi used to be part of the Funkadactyls with, what was it, Ariana? What was her name? Oh, gosh.
Yeah, Ariana.
Yeah, Ariana. Right. So, I mean, like, she's already had the dancing gimmick for a while. You know what I mean? And I know Lana's a dancer too, but I think that it's in wrestling, you want to focus on the positives, the things that are making you strong, the things that get people to buy a ticket. people bought tickets to see Lana and Rusev together, to see the Ravishing Russian. So I understand where you're coming at with your quick rundown of the other wrestlers, but when it comes to Lana, personally, I feel completely the opposite of you. Because I think she has so much talent, but it's not in the way that they've been portraying her for a while.
Right. See, you're focusing on the fan aspect of it.
Sorry.
No, you're focusing on the fan aspect of
the money aspect.
No, I'm not. Listen. Do you hear me out? You're focusing on the fan aspect of Lana and what they want to see. I'm talking about the personal side of how much work she put in to wrestle. And it came across. You watch the 24 and you see some of the things and you hear the praise from that. Wait,
just because you want to be an astronaut doesn't mean that even if you go through all the steps, you can be an astronaut.
I get it.
Look, there's a lot of wrestlers over the years that thought they could be the next Rock or the next Stone Cold or the next Mankind. And the chances of that happening are a percentage point of a percentage point.
If you think about what I said, you actually said the very same thing. Just hear me out for a second. I'm focusing on the personal side of Lana that I have paid complete attention, which I know you have as well, as how hard she worked her ass off wrestling for the last 2 years especially. And what I said before is that I don't see her doing that to that level for any other promotion. So I'm agreeing with you 100%. I'm saying the same thing. I'm saying that I feel bad for Lana because in her head, I don't think she wanted to be just a valet. I think
that's not just a valet. See, that's
right. But
I understand what you're saying, but that connotation right there, that's what confuses people. She wasn't just a valet or just a manager. She was literally the manager that completely transformed a decade. Is there anybody else that's a manager in the last 10 years that you would even put on the level of Lana?
No.
That's right.
Right. No, but that's why I'm saying, to summarize, I feel bad about her personally because it felt like she put everything in to really take the in-ring wrestling seriously. And that's gotta be tremendously devastating for her, because I don't see another promotion investing like that. Now, as a fan, strictly as a fan, I am 1,000% in agreement with you. Her with Rusev Miro is better than her with Naomi or her with Natty or her by herself. She as the Ravishing Russian, she don't even need to be the Ravishing Russian anymore. All she's got to do is be the fucking CJ Perry, who happens to be married with Miro, and let her get a little bit of an attitude and not just do crash. I think her being in his corner and him being in her corner, I think would be phenomenal. I hope that her outside of the ring, maybe you have some mixed tags down the line. I don't know with who, but I'm total agreement with you. Her value is with Miro as a valet.
Her valet, or her value isn't even just as a valet, it's as a manager too.
Right, manager.
That's the whole thing. It's like when I saw people saying Paul Heyman. Dude, Paul Heyman has been around longer than 2010, guys. If you don't know that, I'm sorry. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm not taking anything away from Paul Heyman. I'm just saying in the last 10 years, But when you look at her position and the way that she carries herself, I'll be honest, she's the new Nancy Benoit. She's the new woman. She is the new woman. I can see her running a stable. I can see her charisma being that good that she could genuinely have a very evil heel-like stable as another version of the Ravishing Russian. Fine, whatever you want to call it, the Ravishing CCCP or whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm saying that the girl has a very good understanding of how to control the audience. When she was going out there with Rusev had the look of a beast, of a machine at the time. But it was Lana knowing how to control her arrogance, Lana knowing how to feed into the crowd, Lana irritating the fuck out of people just by the way she said, Putin. it was enough. She is very, very good at being able to manipulate the audience as a heel more than anything else. And the fact that WWE didn't seem to go with that or didn't see the long-term effects of that, I just kind of think it's a little odd that you would let someone like that go and never go back to what made them a star in the first place. Yeah. So
there's an old saying,
AEW, and you have Miro there, and Miro is floundering. In my personal opinion, Miro is not at the level of where he should have been in AEW. Now you have Lana released from the company, and in due time, she will be available to work for AEW. Now, between us, I'm less of the fan for AEW, but at the same time, I like a lot of the people that wrestle in the company. And I think guys like Miro have been flailing. They've been floundering. Now you give him the opportunity to be comfortable with someone who he's made money with. Well, it's not just his wife. They made money together, DT. They made money off of each other. That makes the relationship probably even stronger.
I've been thinking outside of the box. And what we're going to do with Super Chats tonight, we're going to do it a little different. In between every release, we'll get into all the Super Chats that came in. But I do want to bring up one right now because this person is thinking what I'm thinking. And I don't know if any of you thought about this either. All right. I got to give a big shout out to Puffy89. Do we think WWE kind of shot themselves in the foot because the 90 days are up in September? Well, you brought up AEW Rampage. I'll go one step further. September 6th, Illinois, I believe, was September 5th to 6th is AEW's next pay-per-view. You know what I would do on that pay-per-view? Miro and CJ Perry versus Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford.
That's a good matchup.
Think of the storyline. Kip Sabian, as much as I don't like that guy, he still, there's a receipt that he has to give for Miro, and he starts something, and you have CJ Perry, and you just, Miro and his wife versus Kip Sabian and his wife. Tony Khan, you're welcome. You're welcome, to quote, what was Mel Brooks. You're welcome. So, easy. So some of these releases could very well end up being for AEW's next pay-per-view if they have the full 90-day. I heard that one or two may have less than a 90-day no compete. So, but so just to summarize with Lana, really feel bad that she's let go. I think, and we'll get to another little conversation in a second, but I think obviously she still has a tremendous shelf life, and we just got to see what her next step in her career is.
I think she'll be fine. I really think she'll be fine. For anybody that's really worried about the future of her career, out of this entire list, she would be the one that I have the most hope for. She really is.
Do you think, as we saw with Drake Maverick, and we saw a few people brought back, you think there's anybody on this list from today that there's going to be so much social media outrage for that WWE may think twice and bring him back?
Oh.
Now, I mean right now. Reconsider?
I don't know. Because, Braun Strowman might be the only name. Aleister Black is kind of sad to me, especially because they finally put him in a position and gave him a new style gimmick, and they were getting ready to really put him into something, and then they just pink slipped him. Yeah. So Aleister Black was cut off at the knees before he even got a chance to get started again. Well, I'm sure there was a reason behind it. Of course, WWE has their own reasons. I don't know if they haven't done anything like promote the reasons. Like before they said it was budget cuts. Is this still considered budget cuts?
Well, we could get to that. Before we get into Aleister Black, let's answer a couple of super chats, because there's one aspect about this release that more and more people that have a brain on their shoulders are actually starting to think. And I'm kind of agreeing with them as well. And I know Mish is thinking about this also. We'll get to it in a second. But yeah, Daniel-san, Raw had its lowest rating. I want everybody to think about this for a minute. Yes, it was Memorial Day. Yes, it was. But it was Memorial Day last year, the year before, 2007, 654-321, 2009, 86. There's always been a Memorial Day. There's always been ratings. The lowest ever tells you that now, yes, some people may say, well, COVID just ended and more people may have wanted to go out Monday night and decide, whatever it is, it still is the lowest rating. But I want everybody to think about this. Hour 3, which was building up Kofi versus Drew McIntyre. Hour 3, that hour's rating was only about 1.16 million viewers. That is less than what AEW has done on some hours on Wednesday in recent months. Now you're getting into territory where AEW can legitimately draw a better rating during the week than Monday Night Raw. 1 million. Let me put this in more perspective, because everybody knows that I was one of the biggest ECW fans, and the fact that I got to work for them the last year of their existence, you don't understand. That's just like although I didn't do much of anything other than push tickets and stuff, but that is something that you'll never take away from me. You'll never be able to rip it out of my chest and take it away from me unless you got some special one that, that I don't remember it anymore. But I remember when ECW debuted on TNN, We Got Pop, and the main event for the first episode was Rob Van Dam versus Jerry Lynn, a repeat from a pay-per-view. And the rating was like around 1.1 million. And then it was hovering around 1,900,000, 1 million. And yes, I know that we didn't have Hulu and other outlets to stream media. The point is, 1.1 million on a bullshit network like TNN was not good enough to keep ECW around. I brought it up on Patreon yesterday. We just had the anniversary in March of WCW going off the air 20 years ago. Right. Everybody talks about how Fusant Media, and once the TV deal was taken away, WCW wasn't worth much of anything. I strongly, and again, I brought this up on Patreon yesterday, I strongly suggest every one of you out there go on YouTube and seek out the video that says, "Whatever Happened to America Online." It specifically gets into AOL, but it also talks in detail about the Time Warner merger. And when you put that together with all of the major investments that AOL and Time Warner were trying to do at the time, and then the internet bubble bursting, that's one of the biggest reasons why they didn't even consider keeping WCW around. They had to cut losses because of other failed investments. So when you realize that WWE is now down to 1.1 million prime time, Monday night, Raw, flagship show, even though we've been saying for ages now that SmackDown is the number one show, that is something that we really all need to pay attention to, because the big talk now, Mish, is that a lot of people are starting to think, and this is going to be cool because you and I had this conversation a year ago. We talked a year ago that with COVID, and at that time we had no idea when it was going to end, but we pretty much wrote off 2020. And we also brought up a year gone by and a year closer of that Saudi Arabia deal being done.
Right.
And what we talked about a year ago is once you remove that Saudi Arabia relationship, which we don't know if it's going to be renewed because there's so much controversy with Saudi Arabia and all the stuff that came out about Khashoggi and other stuff, then you also think about the TV deals that they made. If you take away Saudi, you take away Peacock, and you take away Fox, those deals, how strong is WWE right now? And you and I had this conversation a year ago, is that as we get closer to these deals coming to an end, and no guarantee they'll be renewed for the same amount of money, do you think there's a possibility that WWE would ever be sold? now the rumors are getting stronger and stronger that, look, they just streamlined their whole film department. They just trim these people, trim this, trim that, record profits, this, that. Does anybody honestly think that WWE right now, that the content you watch on your television, do you really feel that what you watch on your WWE television reflects the record profits? There's only so many times you could move around money and manipulate this and twist that.
I don't know.
They
do a great job of that. Let's be honest. Look, and you're right. The WWE product has been suffering for a while. There's not a fan here of wrestling that won't admit that. Whether you're pro AEW, anti WWE, pro Impact, pro NWA, it doesn't matter. We can all recognize that the WWE product as a whole has been flailing. The difference is, though, the one thing that WWE has is they have this tenacity to continue making money, to continue expanding to new markets. They've just expanded to India. They've just expanded more into Canada, some more in the UK. WWE is constantly expanding. And whether the product is good or bad or indifferent, depending on what stance you take, WWE as a whole will never go away. Now, if they get bought by a different company or whatever else like that, that's something else. That's neither here nor there. But WWE has a catalog. They have a vault amount of wrestling that it'll never truly disappear. So for the people that think that WWE is on the ropes, that these releases are a reflection of WWE losing fan votes and losing fanfare and everything else like that, at the end of the day, WWE is still going to be on the level of, they're still going to be $1 billion company because they keep expanding. So if they stop expanding, if they stop doing Saudi shows, if they let their contract with Fox lapse, if they let their contract with Peacock lapse, if they don't do anything different, I think then that's when you have to start to worry. But them closing down WWE films or consolidating it underneath Kevin Dunne, them consolidating extra people from the social media departments underneath Kevin Dunne, them consolidating parts of the TV production crew underneath Kevin Dunne, it doesn't surprise me, because it seems like this is the thing that smart companies do, is they consolidate what isn't needed. Maybe once upon a time when WWE believed in WWE films, there was a reason for that department. But WWE Films hasn't done anything good in years. You know, and as far as when it comes to TV production and stuff like that, they consolidated it. Well, apparently they believe that Kevin Dunn's department can do all that, and social media as well. Like, how many people do you really need to run WWE's Twitter and Instagram? Why do you need to pay people a six-figure wage? I'm just throwing out a hyperbole. Why do you need to pay people a living wage, multiple people a living wage, if you already have a department that can do the exact same thing? This is just more of WWE doing what WWE does best, and that's squeezing every penny out of a dollar. I don't necessarily know, and we joked, we offhandedly remarked that we weren't really 100% sure with those previous bus flips if they really were about budget cuts, because at the same time that they were saying that these were budget cuts, WWE was reporting in record numbers.
Right.
But
yeah, go ahead. Finish your point.
Okay, well, I was just going to say, well, so it's very interesting that, you know, on one hand, everybody's worried about WWE's finances and everybody's worried about the company overall because they're removing all these people due to budget cuts. But at the same time, if you look at the numbers that they're putting out to the public, which they can't lie about, or they could get in a lot of trouble if they did, it says completely the opposite. It says otherwise. It says that they're very successful. It's just, it's not something on the TV product. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's this weird dichotomy of where I think there's a lot of people that love the WWE network, but not for the same reasons that the week-to-week product is bad,
right,
or not good. You know, people like to watch the specials. People like to watch Raw and SmackDown from 2005. You know, they like to watch old WWF superstars. They like to watch these older shows because that's what appeals to them. That was their favorite time in WWE history. Current product today, though, it's compatible. There's
only so many times you can squeeze.
Right.
Squeeze.
And not only that, there's a lot of different promotions with a lot of different types of content out there now. So you're not just forced into watching WWE. Do you remember the Monday Night Wars, DT? What was the biggest fear when WWE beat WCW and ECW?
That would be a monopoly.
Yeah, no more competition. No more competition was going to make everything stale. And that was the biggest fear for a long time of all the people that enjoyed WWE. And what happened? Exactly what our fears were. Everything went down. Now, don't get me wrong. There were still independent promotions out there that were doing fine. You had TNA kind of come up over the years, and they made their mark. But overall, there was never another company that was on the level of WWE. But now, in this market, with a 1.1 million on Raw Monday nights, and you're looking at other companies, you're looking at AEW, you're looking at Impact, you're looking at, well, maybe not NWA, but you're looking elsewhere for different types of product, and now it's available to you. Now it's available to you. Whereas it wasn't available during the Monday Night Wars. It was this, and that's it. So here we are at this weird state of WWE where the fans, the current day fans, are not happy with the product. They like some things, they hate others. Maybe they hate everything. Maybe everything about WWE just does not appeal to them. And there are still some diehard WWE Universe fans that say that everything WWE does is amazing. And then you have fans that are fans of multiple promotions. That's a crazy thought. How could you like more than one promotion? It happens. So you're in this state where WWE is no longer the standing statue above the rest.
Yeah,
WWE is equal to everyone else, but they're still making money.
Yeah,
despite themselves.
See, Phil Maffei asks, will there be more releases? And yes, I believe there will be more, and I think they will happen periodically throughout the year, and that might be the new norm. And let me explain why. This is something that everybody needs to think about. When you see the current product as an overall, the overall product, forget NXT for a minute, the overall product, and then you hear about the record revenue during COVID. During COVID, the record revenue. You look at the two and you're like, how is that possible? So like Mish said, you give WWE major credit for doing it. They did it. And that's why people invest. But sooner or later, something catches up. Something catches up. Like when I was talking about yesterday, Mish and I had fun on Patreon. We revisited our old MySpace pages. And I watched the documentary the other day about MySpace. MySpace had the opportunity to buy Facebook for $75 million and didn't do it because they thought it was too expensive. And then, various things happen and cyberbullying and other stuff. And you look at this chart and you see like MySpace was like up here with revenue and Facebook was like this. It was like, It went like this. And then all of a sudden it went like this. Sooner or later, WWE, now I'm not saying this is going to be AEW surpassing them, but sooner or later, WWE can only squeeze that bottle so much. And it's got to be a point where it takes a dive.
Well, everything changes. You're right. Everything changes. Look, remember when we were talking yesterday about we used to use Trillion, we used to use AOL or AIM, we used to use MSN Messenger, we used to use ICQ, we used to use Yahoo Messenger. Who the fuck uses any of that anymore?
Yeah, so with WWE, having these releases once in a while, it's their way of trying to build the nest egg when it does start declining like that. And when it starts declining like that, they got two choices. You sell before it hits that decline, or you take the hits, you go with it, you work your way back up, but you have the nest egg and the revenue. That's why we talked about it with some of these promotions. It's obvious they didn't have a nest egg, to keep aside. So once COVID is over, they could go right back to normal business. They have to really scrape and claw. So having a release here or there, even though it may not sound like a lot of money, you You save 300,000 here, $1 million here, 200,000 here, 20,000 here. You condense WWE films into 3 departments into 1, and this and that. Your investors are saying, wow, they're really managing their money great.
Right.
So, yeah, I do expect more releases. I think WWE now, because they know that other than AEW, there is nobody remotely, not even this much of a threat to WWE. So they know that pretty much they could go to AEW or they could go to AEW. They go to another promotion. What are you going to do? Kick the forbidden door down, and they have a contract where they could work pretty much everywhere. So WWE's not worried, because those type of contracts, WWE could ultimately say, hey, you want to come back? And what happens?
And can we be honest about that too? That's something that people aren't saying, DT. And you hit the nail on the head, but you kind of went right past it. WWE can easily pick these people back up if they want them.
Yeah.
It's not like any of these people were removed from the company with malice. It seems to think it seems to be a popular thought that the people that are gone from WWE that get released are like, you shan't never return. You know, like it's not like that. WWE brings people in all the time, people that they've let go. It's just part of the nature of the industry. So while we do have hopeful thoughts that these people will leave WWE and go on to better versions of their careers or better versions of themselves, it's not completely out of the wheelhouse that WWE might give them a ringy-dingy one day and say, hey, you feel like coming in for a month? We got a project for you, you know?
I was looking for the Green Giant thing. I can't find it. So I'll bring it back tomorrow. I don't have it in this because I have a new Roadcaster mixer, so I took the one I had before. I brought it to the other house, but I'll do that for you tomorrow, my friend. Zelina Vega. Zelina Vega. Think about the circumstances when she left. Andrew Yang, and I told all of you, you're going to go to the end of 2021 and you're going to realize that the only thing that Andrew Yang did for wrestling was tweet. Did nothing. Gabriela Cartieres, I told you since day one, she's an ambulance chaser. She was going to do nothing for wrestling. You don't see wrestlers anywhere trying to get together and form a union. It was all bullshit. Now what happens? You hear Zelina Vega's back at WWE, whether she's filming something for The Rock's daughter or she's filming something just to film. After all of that, she was seen back there. So anybody could come back at any time. But WWE does not feel threatened, and they're not going to make the same mistake that WCW did. They're not going to make the same mistake that Dixie Carter did, and they're not going to keep a boatload of people on the payroll just so they don't work for a competitor, whether this big or this big. They'll let them do what they got to do, and if they start catching fire, WWE will bring them back. Drew McIntyre is a perfect example of that. So I promise you, I owe you one. Dayhawk, tomorrow, right at the beginning of the show, I will give you a Green Giant. In fact, during our talk tonight, when Mish gets into a little rant, I'll check my background. Maybe I will be able to find it. Maybe I will. I don't know. But I owe you one, man. I owe you. The best I could give you tonight is this. That actually replaced the choo-choo train. The choo-choo train replaced the ho-ho-ho. Yeah, Anthony D. Okay, one more time. Just like all of you, I hate Roman Reigns. I used to do it a lot better. Like, I have to hear his voice first. But to me, that was the turning point in his career. Then they had him team up with Nicholas. I mean, Jesus. I want to say one thing before we get into some more super chats, and then we'll get to Aleister Black. Baron Corbin still has me blocked. Very few people do. Whatever. I don't care either way. So the only reason why I'm saying that is because I can't see his tweets unless somebody brings it to my attention. And he was having at it with some people earlier that are like, wow, they let Aleister Black go, but they keep Corbin on the payroll. And Corbin said to these people, like, what balls or how disrespectful can you be to actually hope that somebody loses their job, or you wish somebody loses their job? And I have given some compliments to Baron Corbin lately, but I will say this. I think in this case, when you have wrestling fans saying, wow, Jackson Riker's still on the payroll, but they get rid of Aleister Black. Braun Strowman is still on the payroll, yet they got this guy and this guy. I think in the case of some fans, I don't like when people say that, but I think in the case of some fans, I think what they really are trying to say is, how can you not come up with a good storyline and a feud for someone as creative as Aleister Black, but yet have a guy walk around, you know, getting triggered about a toy plastic crown? He's not a king. He has no bloodline, from what I understand, as being a king. He is a millennial with a lot of money and a lot of toys. That doesn't make you a king, but for some reason, WWE says, that's good shit. You know, such good shit. The crown, Nakamura. That's good shit, but you can't figure out how to get Aleister Black on TV? That's what I think fans are saying. It's not that they want to see Corbin out of a job and Aleister Black still there. They're just saying, how the fuck could you not come up with something for this guy? Yet, you this is acceptable?
That's exactly what fans are saying, dude. That's exactly what fans are saying. I'm sure there are some asshats out there that just want to see people lose their jobs so it makes them feel better. But no, you're bringing up the point. You're bringing up the point that people brought all the way up through every firing, through every damn firing ever in WWE, from Damian Sandow to the Iconics. Dude, every single firing has had people say, how in the fuck can you release this person while this person still has a job? Like, fans, and granted, this goes back to our fandom of being wrestling fans. Some people see value in people that are wrestling or are released that they don't believe that WWE has seen, because we feel the same way. Right now, I feel very strongly about the way that Aleister Black was released. I have a lot of hope that Aleister Black, when he was in WWE, was going to make this time count. So as a fan, I feel a little cut off at the knees because now he's no longer with the company. So the character that was coming up, the character, the vignettes, the dragon that was all coming about and was going to lead to something that we believed could have been a lot of fun to watch, has now been halted. And so I can see why fans would look at that and go, wow, you guys released Aleister Black, but such and such person who is predominantly looked at as a lesser talent than this person than you released, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. And I can understand their frustration. And it's a lot of that frustration that people have, which is why they don't like WWE anymore. Because they don't understand. Once upon a time, people understood why people were gone from WWE. It made sense. You know, it was a lot of no names, or it was a lot of lower tier talent that just used up their time, and people were unhappy about it. But they knew the direction of where WWE was going. In this day and age, how do you explain spending the time, spending the money on building up a guy like Aleister Black, having vignettes, setting everything up, and then literally a week later, just goodbye, like the fucking AOL mail? It doesn't make sense. If WWE was planning on doing this, why even waste the time to begin with? But then, you know what, DT? Maybe that also falls in line with WWE removing WWE films. Maybe it also falls in line with WWE cutting down their production, their TV, and putting it on Kevin Dunne. Maybe it also falls in line with some of the staff cuts. So I'm not really 100% sure if all the wrestlers were released because of just contract negotiations or budget cuts. I think some of them might have been released for other reasons.
Absolutely agree. I was trying to get the I can't find it. I'm trying, my friend. Dayak, we're gonna have to do it tomorrow. Yeah, you could have. Yeah, we could have the. I absolutely agree. And as far as Aleister Black goes, I don't understand this at all. The vignettes were wildly praised online.
Yeah. Loved it.
Everybody was so looking forward. In fact, Aleister Black went on his Twitch, I think, earlier today and praised Vince and praised others. And Aleister Black actually said, this is an interesting comment. He said he really does not want people out there to bash creative. He said they really work their ass off. And, you know, he also said that this caught him out of nowhere, and he always felt that Vince was very supportive of him. It's this, I don't understand this one at all. You know, he attacked Big E.
Yeah.
And if you remember, when he attacked Big E, we went on the shows and said, well, that seemed awfully random. If you followed his Devils segments, nothing of it teased that it would lead to Big E. And at the time, it felt like, okay, you know, they're getting back to live fans in July. They need to cut a few weeks off, you know, from now until then. They don't want Big E to keep being associated with Apollo Crews. So we'll have Aleister Black attack Big E for no reason at all. He'll cut some weird promo. We'll all love it. And then we'll have Aleister Black and Big E for a couple of weeks. And the next thing you know, we're now getting close to July. You know, Hell in the Cell is over with. And then we might see Big E go after Roman Reigns, if that happens this soon. I don't know. But this Aleister Black, I mean, it's not like somebody just woke up today and said, Black, you know, get it, Aleister Black. You know, like, you know, like, and even creative. Nobody woke up today. You know, I was thinking about it last night. We got this fucking guy on payroll for. How much does he make? You know, like, the vignettes have been going. And let me explain this too. I don't think Mish feels this way, and I don't think anybody out there feels this way. As these promos are being aired for the last 3 out of the last 5 weeks, and as they're being aired, I don't think anybody out there pictures production watching this on the screen as it's being displayed on SmackDown and looking at each other and going,
let me ask you something. Let me throw this out there because I haven't seen this brought up either, DT. Do you think Zelina Vega might be a reason?
Well, you know, I mean, she was just there. You know what I mean? So, you know, I don't, if you would have said this to me a year ago, I would have said, okay, maybe. But the thing is, you and I both agree, and we said this before, the day that Lana and Rusev showed up on TMZ with the engagement ring, you know, and in the middle of the storyline on TV, there was a complete opposite. That fucked everything up.
Right.
I understand kayfabe is dead, but, you know, you have to try. If you're in the middle of a soap opera on TV or you're in the middle of something, and on TV you have this wild portrayal of, you know, look at that King of the South, Queen of the South, whatever it is. Imagine if she's shown on social media, you know, getting into it or dining or hanging out with like her biggest rival in this right before the season finale. You know, you just don't do things like that. And
the only reason I bring this up, and look, I'm not bringing up Vega because of kayfabe or anything else like that, but do you think that WWE was so opposed to the way that Vega conducted herself against the company that maybe now was the time? Because I can't make any logical conclusion as to why they would have released Black. So now if you can't think of, so what is the phrase? If the likely is unlikely, then it most likely is the unlikely. I'm fucking that saying up.
It sounds good.
But basically what it is if the probable isn't likely, then the improbable is. Right. And so what is the improbable reason that you would remove a guy that you've taken time to rebuild, put in vignettes, get him back in the ring, get him back hyped up on SmackDown, put him back into the wrestling circuit for WWE, and then just remove him? So if it's not injury, if it's not budget cuts, then what else could it be? The only other thing I can think of that Aleister Black has any connection to that WWE didn't approve of was his wife.
Man, Mish, if this was the Mafia, or if it was one of us podcasters out there that waited like a year and then laid the hammer down on a few people out there to get a little revenge on, I could see that shit. But I just can't picture WWE keeping someone on the payroll for that much longer and then come up with these, vignettes, or having Aleister Black come up with these awesome vignettes. And then every time it's on TV, they're looking at Aleister Black going, that was awesome. And then when he leaves the room, they're like, just wait a month. Watch what happens a month from now. Like, I just don't think they're that warped and stupid, to air this and put it on TV, and in the back of their mind, this is just to fuck with them. Me, if I had was going to get revenge on someone, that's the ultimate, man. Put that person in a comfort zone, and then when they least expect it, boom! That's when you lay the hammer down. I envy that.
DT, let me throw this out there. All right, so first off, there's a lot of comparisons to Vince McMahon, WWE, and the Mob that have been made over the years. Yeah. But if people are confused about the viciousness of WWE, let's not forget who got their pink slip at their wedding. At their fucking wedding. Let's not forget that it wasn't that long ago that Mickie James, longtime wrestler, veteran, legend perhaps, got her shit sent to her in a bag. I'm just saying, if you want to start throwing out little weird quips that WWE has done that make people second guess the company, there's more than a few examples over the years of WWE being kind of odd, kind of treating people a little odd.
If we ever found out that WWE went that deep to get revenge on some, that's gangsta. It's fucked up, but you have to take a step back and say, man, if you plant the seed and you let it develop that much and then just pull the rug out from under them, that's pretty gangsta. I don't know. Look,
let me just be very clear for the people that are against me right now. I'm not saying that this is a fact. I'm just saying that WWE has had a history of doing some pretty odd, scandalous shit, and nobody can deny that. That's a fact. I'm not saying that this scenario with Black and Vega has anything to do. I'm not saying that that's a fact. I'm just bringing up the idea that could this have been something, That's all. That's all I'm bringing up. Is this a possibility on 1,000,001 shot? Is this a possibility on the reason why somebody like Black was released after all this stuff was done for him?
I'm totally baffled at this one. I really am. Because like I said, he's a likable guy. People that I talk to that know him personally, nobody says anything bad. In fact, I even joked that, when he did the YouTube stuff with Zelina, to me, I thought he was a little bit too likable. Like going to a thrift store to go buy soaps. It's like, that's not the Aleister Black I want to see. I want to see, like Zelina filming video. Oh, I'm cooking for my husband right now, and he comes home for dinner, and she's like, honey, I made you pork roast. And he just sits down with his arms and his legs folded, and he just like, I'm not saying he's got to be savage, but, it's kind of hard when you're trying to play this vicious character on TV, and then you look at him, and he's like, oh, what color should we dye the dog's hair today? Let's get little braids and this and that. I
don't know, dude. Like I said, I don't know. I'm just coming up with ideas.
I'm totally baffled on this one.
Right. He's the one that hurts the most out of everybody that's been released today. He's the one that I think a lot of fans were looking forward to seeing more of him. There was a spark there. There was an absolute spark there. And right now with WWE kind of hit or miss with a lot of fans, it was nice to see a lot of people really get behind his vignettes, really get behind the idea of his character and say, hey, this is something fucking cool. So now you have a whole bunch of people on social media and elsewhere that are like, yeah, we like this Aleister Black shit. And WWE's like, can him. Like,
I wish I had that kind of power, man. Seriously. Because, like I said, you know, we understand not everybody is going to work out. And look, as fans, you know, we do have a list in our minds of people that if they were let go, it's nothing personal, but in an entertainment standpoint, okay, I don't have to worry about this person being on my TV anymore. You don't want to see them out at work. I think if people out there found out Baron Corbin has been released as a pro wrestler, but he's now working behind the scenes as an agent, I think 99% of everybody out there would be like, okay, cool, good. Right. You know, I'm talking about people that don't like him. Or Nia Jax, the one that a lot of people despise as well, even though we like her. Nia Jax, WWE released her as a wrestler, but she's going to stay on hand to be a trainer. Yeah, like, I mean, I would think if she had a role in the back, I think people would be fine. I just think for entertainment aspect, that's why when people say, you just let Aleister Black go with all these awesome promos. Even if somebody changed their mind and said, Big E, Aleister Black, okay. If you're going to have the draft soon, then draft him to Raw. Draft him to see if he wants to go to NXT. This totally doesn't make sense to me. And again, you look at this company and you say, how does King Corbin, so his character, I'm not saying personally, forget it personally, how does a character like King Corbin survive this many years? And his whole gimmick is that he thinks he's a king. Now, at least when Jerry Lawler was the king, he was the king of Memphis wrestling. He was the biggest babyface of Memphis wrestling. He had promotions, he had stroke, he had power, he had creed. Corbin has a Ferrari and a nice watch, and he's got a weird belly button that looks like a blowfish. There's nothing legit about the king. He survives being on TV for years and years and years, yet Aleister Black, what's he got to do, sacrifice a pig? Well, bad timing. Nothing intended, everyone. I'm just saying, like, the evil character, what does he got to do? Commit some type of human sacrifice? Like, seriously. And they can't figure out something with him on TV? That's what people are complaining about. And this makes no sense to any of us. Zero. None. I don't know, man. I mean, it just, look, I have in front of me the releases since going back to 2005. Now, this is not 100% complete, and I'm not going to read every single wrestler because there's some names that a lot of people don't know. But, Mish, if you don't mind, let me, and you know what we could do? We could even simulate that you're vaping. So, look, we people will get that one. I'm going to read you, everyone, very quickly, just like the last 5 years of releases. I think when you look back on it, what happened today is not much different in the past, but it'll surprise you when you actually remember some of these names, okay? 2020, The Revival, Gallows and Anderson, Primo and Epico, Rusev, Eric Rowan, Zack Ryder, Drake Maverick, who they brought back, Kurt Hawkins, Heath Slater, Eric Young, EC3, Cain Velasquez, who they thought we were going to bring in, Curtis Axel, Leo Rush, Sarah Logan, Mike and Maria Kanellis, No Way Jose, Kurt Angle, even though, you know, he really wasn't wrestling anymore, Akeem and Razor, Aiden English, just to name a few. That was last year. All right, let's go to 2019, pre-COVID. Hideo Itami, Ty Dillinger, Sean Spears, TJP, Dean Ambrose, Arn Anderson, Goldust, Dean Malenko, and yeah, some of these are backstage agents. Rhino, Jordan Miles, ACH, The Ascension, Sin Cara, Luke Harper, Dasha Fuentes, and Percy Watson, which we liked as an announcer. You go back to 2018, Neville, Rich Swann, Enzo, Kaz, Bali, Shira. I always get tongue-tied. 2017, Rosa Mendez, Jack Swagger, Simon Gotch, Tajiri, Austin Aries, Eva Marie, Emma, Darren Young, Summer Rae, James Ellsworth. 2016, Wade Barrett, Damian Sandow, Santino Marella, Cameron, Hornswoggle, Alex Riley, El Torito. Sting had to retire because of injury. But if you want to, I mean, if you go even further, it's 2014. You know, CM Punk obviously didn't sign a deal. CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Kurt Hawkins, JTG, Brodus Clay, Ezekiel Jackson, Oksana, Mason Ryan, Evan Bourne, Jinder Mahal, Mystico, Caitlyn, Danny Burch, Shaul Guerrero, Josh Matthews, The Great Khali, Tenzai, Rob Van Dam, still goes on, Corey Graves, but they made him an announcer. Christian had to retire because of the concussions. Batista was done. Yoshitatsu, Vicky Guerrero, Justin Roberts. You go down this list. You go to even, 2007. Crime Time, Chris Masters, Nick Dinsmore, Rob Van Dam, Scott Taylor, Booker T, Daivari, Joey Mercury, Rob Conway, Sylvain Grenier, Rene Dupree, Rosie, Tori Wilson, Mike Mondo, Johnny Jeter, Test, God rest his soul, Sabu, Big Vito, The Sandman, Tatanka, Roadkill, Johnny Swinger, Sylvester Turkai, Too Cold Scorpio, Bill DeMott. Paul Heyman was let go at that time. Chris Evane, right. Chantel Taylor, Al Snow, Jazz, Rodney Mack, Tony Mamaluke, Gangrel, Sonny Siaki, Ryan Reeves, C.W. Anderson, Doug and Danny Basham. That was just 2007. Right. You go down to 2005, Christian, Charlie Haas, Jackie Gator, Mark Jindrak, Rhino, Spike Dudley, Molly Holly, Luther Reigns, Maven, Devon Dudley, Bubba Ray Dudley, Muhammad Hassan, Kenzo Suzuki, Dawn Marie, Christy Hemme, Matt Morgan, Lance Storm, Jackie Gator, Josh Matthews, Jericho, and Akio.
Yeah.
Young Dragons, I think he was.
Yeah.
And I could go on and on and on. So, you look at those names, some of those names at that time were a little surprising. I mean, some were not. Obviously, the RVD and Sabu one was pretty much expected. But, this bus, as Mish calls it, there's bus flips every year,
Yeah.
But this Aleister Black one, I'll tell you the truth, man. You look at a lot of this list, even some names that were a little surprising at that time. One thing, though, is a lot of wrestlers, it just seemed that their character ran its course and it was time to move on. Aleister Black never got to that point. And the guy is freaking phenomenal in the ring. How do you not come up with something?
The last guy that WWE released that I felt about the same way as I do with Aleister Black now was Damian Sandow. They released him when he was doing the Mizdow gimmick, and it was at the point where he was finally going against the Miz. And people were all over that. It was a lot of fun. But the sad thing is, he left and ended up at Impact, and that didn't really help him, and then he ended up elsewhere, and it was almost sad because Damian Sandow, when he was released, almost, I don't want to say at the peak of his career, but definitely up there, it was very confusing to us as fans.
And I believe Aaron Stevens.
I
believe he'll be back one day. Aaron Stevens will be back.
Right.
But at the time, I'm totally with you. We covered on the shows, like, why is this guy being let go? And if you remember the momentum, and we thought he was going to actually, go over on Miz, and we thought he was going to win a belt on his own. I even think, wasn't it something with the Royal Rumble also that's coming to my mind?
Yeah,
and it felt like that they forced, negative on this guy instead of just letting it organically happen. I am totally baffled at this release of Aleister Black. But you know what?
There's
Aleister
more.
Black, out of everybody on this roster, yes, Braun Strowman has the biggest marquee name. But if I was AEW, man, let me tell you something. You got Aleister Black and Murphy, just those two guys. In my opinion, if AEW does not pick them up, then they are more concerned about keeping it in the family. Because if you notice, Jon Moxley might be sort of an exception. Even though, once he lost to Omega, they really fucked up his character for a few months. They were very lucky to repair it. But if you really notice, like, what you see focused more than anything, the core nucleus is the people that will also work behind the scenes. Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, QT Marshall, Dustin, Cody, Jericho. Even though Jericho probably, has the biggest chance that if he could ink a deal somewhere else for more money, he might do it, just as a smart businessman. So I think if you don't bring in Aleister Black, something doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, and this is something AEW seriously got to think about. They bring in Aleister Black, and they just put him against Lee Johnson or Matt Sydal. You could get away with that for a couple of weeks. But then people are going to be like, all right, wait a minute. All right, I understand you got to put over Cody and Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks all the time, and, but they got to come up. That's why I said they got to come up with another title. There's these rumors of a trios title, which I don't want to see right now. They need a secondary singles title, one step below the heavyweight champion. So I wish Aleister Black nothing but the best, but I am baffled. Totally baffled. So shout out to Roger Rubio. Thank you for the super chat. Enjoying the Wednesday night breakfast soup. Very rare, special occasions. Devin M., much love. Haven't seen you around in a while. I hope everything is good with you.
Yeah, much love, dude.
Yeah, haven't seen Devin in a while. So sorry you had to be under these circumstances, but look, we hope all these people get jobs elsewhere, and hopefully they can, continue to perform on TV, because that's one thing that probably bothers us also, is that some of the people, when they get released, you don't ever see them again. Mish and I to this day are just don't make sense how Akeem and Razor are not on TV killing it somewhere right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's some wrestlers. I mean, even, Eric Rowan. I mean, Luke Harper passed, was a wonderful moment to see him in AEW. And then he posted online, "You'll never know where you see me next." Yeah. It's like,
yeah, what about
Ascension?
Ascension?
Use this guy.
Ascension disappeared. I mean,
Ascension disappeared?
We went on, we saw them at the tour and everything else like that, and was driving them around, and, they never showed up again. The last time I saw them was with Jimmy Hart.
Yeah.
So, and Jimmy Hart's at least doing Dark Side of the Ring. I don't know where the Ascension is right now.
Yeah. Mike from New York feels bad about Braun. He thinks Braun will retire. He still could do it, man. I mean,
I would be surprised if Braun does the smart thing and does like the B-roll in movies. Braun could easily walk onto a movie set and be the bodyguard. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that he's going to be the next Dave Bautista or nothing, but at the same point, you don't look at a guy like that and think, "Oh well, nothing for him." I think he could do well. He's got a good sound. He's got a good look. He's a big, massive dude. You know what I mean? He's going to be bodyguard number 2. That's what he's going to be.
Somebody said earlier that they could see him doing like hunting and fishing shows. I could see that too. I could see him doing a whole series on hunting and fishing and stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised if Braun Strowman, maybe for the rest of the year, kind of like just chills and enjoys like, getting back into normal life outside of COVID. I don't know if I want to see him in AEW.
I would not be surprised if he takes a nice long break.
Even though he just had a nice long break.
Well, a nice longer break.
You know what sucks also, man? They get a Wyatt family.
Oh,
Only
yeah.
one left.
Yeah, that's...
I mean, honestly, my favorite faction in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Wyatt family. There's one left in WWE. That's it. I don't fucking get it. I don't get it. I mean, obviously, who would have ever thought
Brody Lee
passing, but Bray's the only one left, and they can't.
I mean, I guess
figure
Eric
it
Rowan
out.
could pop back up somewhere. I don't know. Yeah.
Devin M. Are they going to need bodies to draw? They're going back on the road. Super shows, my friend. Super shows. You're doing Raw and SmackDown together for most of the rest of the year for house shows. You only need to fill up 4 matches on each brand. Couple of guest appearances here and there. That's why I'll make a prediction right here. I will make a prediction that some people who were released between last year and this year will be back before WrestleMania of next year. People have to pay close attention to what WWE is doing as far as the return to live fans. I told everybody 2 weeks ago that they were bringing back house shows, and they are, but they're super shows. So they combine the Raw and SmackDown, so you're going to get the best of the best, and they will sneak in a match or two on each brand that, maybe the people performing are not, to your standards, as far as you want everybody to be a top A-lister, but they're combining as much as they can, so they can get away with it right now, Devin. But next year, when they go back to house shows, only Raw and only SmackDown, I think a lot of people forget before COVID, you would have some Raw house shows that only draw like 3,000, 2,500. It's not very good. SoFly, what's up, brother? He thinks a lot of releases are because of the bloated performance center class they brought in recently, as well as they have to keep things fluid. Mish, the women's tag team division in WWE for Raw and SmackDown is already extremely thin. Now you don't have the Riot Squad anymore. Now you don't have Lana and Naomi anymore. You don't have the Iconics anymore. Do you think we're going to see 1 or 2 women from NXT jump to the main roster and form a tag team?
Yeah, I would not be surprised. You have to rebolster those ranks somehow. You're right. You're talking about 3 different teams right there that are already thinning out an already thin roster for the women's tag team division. I've never been a huge fan of the idea of the women's tag team titles. I just haven't. I thought it was a very odd thing that WWE chose to do. And I mean, I guess I understand it because there haven't been belts or women's tag teams belts in years, but I just thought it was a very odd time. Because at the one moment, when they were doing the women's evolution and everything else like that, there was a surplus of women in the company at the time where you could have done that. But they waited till there were a lot less people in order to bring these titles around. And now it's almost like, well, you have to have somebody as champion. So now in order to do that, they're going to have to bring up at least 2, maybe even 3 women, in order to try and reestablish something. Some kind of credibility. It's almost like it's a weird case because I feel like the women having a tag team title division is almost hurting WWE. It's a weird thing to say because you would think more opportunities and more wrestling types is better for the audience and better for the crowd. But I think it forces us to see the same people over and over and over again just because they have to move the title hunt along. And it's like, well, if that title hunt wasn't there, then we wouldn't get as much bloat as was previously said about the Performance Center. But we wouldn't get as much bloat from the same people on Raw and SmackDown every week.
So I could see Liv Morgan and Mandy Rose teaming up. I actually think that would be a very interesting pairing. I don't understand why they let go of Ruby Riott. From what I hear and read, I don't have that many contacts that know Ruby Riott, but from what I hear and from everywhere I read, and even you and I have talked about Ruby Riott over the years, she's one of the better people out there. And she does not have a bloated salary. I mean, I don't want to say what I was told, how much she's making, because if it's wrong, it's embarrassing.
Right.
But she's not getting paid a lot of money.
I don't think anybody expects her to be.
Yeah.
She hasn't been put in a position within the company that anybody would believe that Ruby Riott is making a 7-figure salary. You know what I mean? Barely, probably, and I would even go lower than that. I would say barely even a 6-figure salary.
Yeah.
But that's just my assessment.
You're pretty accurate. Yeah. Why do you think they let go of Ruby Riott?
I don't know. I hope she did something to get removed. I hope she burned somebody's dress or something. I don't know. Ruby Riott is confusing to me because she almost felt like she was in a permanent position. And we always talk about the guys like Dolph Ziggler. We always talk about the guys that are there to enhance other wrestlers on their way up or on their way down in order to advance storylines, to be the meat and potatoes of WWE. And for the women's division, Ruby Riott has kind of seemed to fill that role for a very long time. I mean, there was a lot of people that wanted to see her at the top, and that's fair enough, myself included at points. But I understood the fact and the need that you needed somebody like Ruby Riott to have good matches with in order to highlight the people that are going to be the title holders, in order to highlight the next big female thing. So the fact that they remove somebody as competent and as talented as Ruby Riott doing her job is kind of confusing to me, because clearly neither of us think it's a contractual issue. Clearly we don't think that she's making too much money for the company in comparison to other people that we know for a fact are making a lot of money in the company. And she didn't seem, I've never heard a bad word about her. I've never heard anybody say, oh, that Ruby Riott, she's a bitch. Did you hear what she did and so-and-so? Like, you've never heard a bad word about her. So she seemed like she was a company girl. And she was a good wrestler. And people enjoyed seeing her out there. So I don't know. I understand that she wasn't going to be, Charlotte or Bayley. I understood that she wasn't going to be Sasha or Bianca Belair. But that didn't mean that she didn't have a good place in the company. So I am a little confused as to their decision on removing her.
I tried to find the Green Giant thing again. I hate not being able to deliver, man. It's driving me crazy how I can't find it. And I know as soon as I finish the show, I'm going to find it. But, obviously Ruby Riott is extremely talented. We know what she could do. We got to remember the storyline. Wasn't too long ago when she was on a massive losing streak. They teased the split of the Riott Squad, and then they became a team again. And then, you remember last week, I think a lot of people may have forgot about this. A few people pointed it out last week, that apparently the Riott Squad attacked Tamina, but we came back from a commercial break or something was said about them attack, but it wasn't on video.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and people were like, are they turning the Riott Squad heel? I think you and I even talked about it on Monday and said, are they turning the Riott Squad heel? Like, it didn't make any sense.
Right.
I mean, it's just something doesn't add up. And I'm not trying to compare Ruby Riott's ability with Liv Morgan's. But when I look at this, I say to myself, okay, I keep thinking now Liv Morgan is a solo. The infamous segment when she was in the bathtub and it was going to be like this transformation of Liv Morgan. And we thought she was going to cut her hair. Was that Liv Morgan or Mandy Rose?
It's weird because that
was Mandy Rose. But No, Liv Morgan. No, I know what it was with her. It was everything like to live and all this stuff. That's what it was with Liv Morgan. Like, like they were changing her personality and live and to live, and everything online was to live. RCWR says it was Liv Morgan. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, because Mandy was with Otis. Yeah. So Liv Morgan was in the bathtub, and we thought she was going to cut her hair when she teased it. I thought, remember I said they're going to take the razor out, she's going to shave her head bald. Do like the Britney Spears, like reassessment of her life. And then what happened? They teased. Everybody thought we were going to see a lesbian scene with Liv Morgan and Lana. And that amounted to nothing. So I'm a little concerned right now for Liv Morgan.
I see a lot of people in the chat bringing up kind of the same thing. I saw it earlier online. It's weird to me when people say they probably released Ruby Riott because they didn't like the way she looked. But they pretty much have Shotzi Blackheart doing almost the same thing in NXT with the green hair.
And Rhea Ripley being like a little bit of a rocker
Rhea Ripley
also.
With her look too. Like and let's not even forget that oh my God, what's her name? Jesus Christ.
Just said Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, no, right, not Rhea Ripley, but even before that, she always had the braids in her hair from MMA. Why am I blanking on her name? Ronda Rousey.
Ronda Rousey, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know what the side, the side cut or the tight braids, like I don't see that as being a problem. Just personally, I don't know. These guys could be completely fucking right, and WWE could have shit-canned her because they don't like the way that she looks, but I just look at all the very different looks of WWE women on the roster in 2021, and it's a lot better than it looked in 2007. You know what I mean? There's a lot more identity the women and the way that they look on the roster today.
It's something you said a while ago that is stuck with me a lot. You said that it almost feels like WWE is kind of giving up on the women's tag team division a little bit.
Yeah.
And when you really start thinking about the recent releases of the women, they have dismantled quite a few women's tag teams, and now they're starting to tease the dismantling of Nia and Shayna Baszler.
Right.
And think about that. That's Lana and Naomi, the Riot Squad, the Iconics, Nia and Shayna. They're teasing the split there. I mean, what do you have left?
I know.
I mean, if you really take a step back, I mean, the women's tag team division has been shredded by WWE. Even if you bring 2 women to the main roster, what is that going to do?
I think you need to just focus on the actual women's title, the single woman's title. I mean, honestly, the tag team, like I said, the tag team division for WWE feels like it's hurting the women's process more than it's helping. And if you put all these women in the singles matches again, now you can do more interesting stuff with them. Now you can do different kinds of storylines. Not every storyline has to be a tag team or a singles belt, So, and obviously, a lot of people are looking forward to the idea of Becky returning. I know that that's been a rumor for a while now, that Becky is just around the corner somewhere, waiting to pop out, waiting to surprise us, So, I don't know.
Who is Lacey Evans teaming with again?
Who was she teaming with?
Yeah, before she did the feud with Charlotte.
Flair and Charlotte? Yeah.
Oh, she was Peyton Royce. Peyton Royce.
Oh, yeah.
Peyton Royce and Lacey Evans. That team was also done.
Well, Lacey's...
Yeah, well, she's pregnant. I mean... Which is good.
She'll probably be back. I don't know. I don't want to throw that out there like she won't be back, but you kind of hope that Lacey would come back, because Lacey was another very strong character that, she ebbed and flowed a little bit as far as the division went, but there was very few people that said, oh, Lacey sucked. Like, you didn't hear that. You heard people, I don't like her, but you didn't hear that, oh, this girl's bad. I don't know.
Cruiserweight, I think we may actually do a few calls in a few moments because we only have 2 more people to get into. As far as NXT last night, I mean, I don't have the rating as of yet. AEW only did 526 on Friday. I do find it funny that the AEW diehards are saying that everybody expected a tremendously low number. Well, they should have prepared everybody for a tremendously low number. SmackDown's number was low also. And I said it yesterday. Even Monday also. I don't put too much into the Friday night rating because it was a holiday weekend, and the match selection, you and I read the matches yesterday. The match selection for AEW last Friday was not impressive at all. That looked like more of an AEW dark match listing. And this Friday, it's not that much better, but I do expect them to jump back into the 800,000 range by Friday. So I don't put too much into that. But yesterday's NXT, the one thing coming out of it is we got a 5-way going down at TakeOver in Your House. For some reason, a lot of people online are convinced that Karrion Kross is dropping that title. I, as of right now, think the opposite. I don't see. I think it would be looked at as a huge disappointment if Karrion Kross were to drop the title this quick. And, I also said yesterday, I'm a huge Karrion Kross fan for obvious reasons. And I'm sorry if it sounds like a broken record to our Patreon family. But the one thing that I always take pride in is telling it like it is and not just gush, because even people heard out of Karrion Kross's own mouth the reason why he loved the shows that I do and the shows I used to do with another co-host is we told it like it is, even if it was something that people didn't want to hear. And last night, Adam Cole verbally beat the living shit out of Karrion Kross in the promo department. But it's unfair to compare the two because Adam Cole has been in NXT for many, many years, and also Ring of Honor. And, when he was working there right before NXT, they really worked on his mic. So he has a few years up on Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross, when in Lucha Underground or even Impact Wrestling, they were not spending much time trying to tremendously improve his mic skills. So it was a little unfair yesterday. And I also feel that anybody that used to go up to CM Punk would be shredded apart. So just because Adam Cole killed it in cutting a promo yesterday, which I don't think anybody should have expected less, that doesn't mean that Karrion Kross was hurt yesterday. But, let's also be honest. I think WWE shouldn't have put it in that position. I don't think that should have even been put there because Adam Cole was going to shine in that segment. And that's probably what was needed. So, the 3-way was good while it lasted, but, it's going to a 5-way at the pay-per-view. And, MSK retaining, which is the big deal. But next week, we'll be talking about it in detail because next Sunday is TakeOver in Your House. So we will obviously get into the card, dissect it a little bit further. I'm thankful that Xia Li is back on TV. Because if you think about it, Xia Li could have suffered similar fate than Aleister Black because they kept her off TV for 2 months.
Right.
2 months. So, if they can't do something with Aleister Black, you start saying to yourself, wow, wonder if they could do this. What if they can't come up with anything for this T and Shaw, the whole overall deal? So, yeah, we'll test some calls in a little bit. Low-Key 07, if he were TK, Tony Khan, he would hire Aleister Black, continue with the Dark Father vignettes until you could debut him in the ring. I don't think you could tease Aleister Black at all, even just in the promo department, if he's got a no-compete clause. I don't think you could do anything. Like you could do silhouettes and things like that, but I don't think you can have him cut promos.
Right.
So I don't think you could do that at all. But it's not a bad idea, though. Michelle Haskins, all these releases and the corporate realignment is the dawn before the big sale. By the end of 2021, early 2022, it is going to be sold to NBC Universal. There's rumors of NBC Universal. There's rumors of Disney. Which I agree. I think I want to pay attention to the finance market. I want
Elon Musk to open up Monday Night Raw. That's what I want.
Have Shotzi Blackheart show up in a Tesla
to be an Amazon property or something. Come on. Maybe Mark Zuckerberg can throw his 2 cents in. Maybe WWE can be a Facebook entity.
Dude, how would you feel if WWE was sold to NBC Universal?
You know what? If it was sold to anybody else, I would be a lot more worried about it. But NBC has a long history with WWE. Long history, going back to Saturday night's main event. I don't know how they would structure it. Matter of fact, I was trying to think about this while we were talking earlier, and it was brought up earlier, but is there any major properties that NBC purchased before, like a sports property?
Could look into that. I could do some research over the weekend.
Yeah, it would have to be research, but I really don't know what their track record is. I have no idea what they would do. Obviously, NBC, if they owned WWE and the McMahons no longer owned it, I would assume that NBC would hire the McMahons for a certain duration of time, and they would continue getting paid and continue doing the job that they were doing. But I would assume that, there would be other changes that came in. I mean, the last time that you really knew about a corporate entity really taking over wrestling was the Ted Turner stuff, and that was a disaster. That was an absolute disaster.
Well,
you go back to thinking about all the executives that they put in there in place of Bischoff or next to Bischoff, or the corporate side didn't understand a clue with what made wrestling work. Now, this is also 20 years later. I don't know. I don't know if NBC would make those same mistakes. I don't know if NBC is paying attention on the level that fans are. I really don't know. You would almost have to assume that NBC would do their homework and do their research on WWE to know how to utilize a company like WWE. But yeah, I don't know, man.
I think because of the Peacock deal, I think them selling to NBC Universal is the more likely scenario. I've heard Disney's name. I don't feel it. I could see NBC Universal, but tell you, it would seriously change. I think the stock would tank. Although I agree with you, I think NBC would do a very slow transition process, maybe even a 5-year transition, where you pretty much little by little, if people go back to 2000, you had Time Warner making some pretty hefty deals, and America Online was making some pretty hefty deals also, and then some deals started failing miserably, and then the internet bubble is what killed WCW more than anything else. I know people say,
I don't know. I remember reading Alvarez's book and stuff like that on it, the death of WCW, and R.D. Reynolds had his, and it's like, yeah, I kind of believe those guys that you're right. It was the bubble, but it was the executive decisions that really ruined WCW.
Yeah.
It wasn't just the fact of the takeover with AOL and everything else like that, but it was the ideas that these executives, these number crunchers, had any idea what correlates to wrestling fans, because it didn't.
It already
wrestling fans don't give a fuck about numbers.
WCW had lost $100 million, so they were already losing money and hemorrhaging money.
Right.
When the AOL Time Warner deal went down, if it wasn't because of all of the other deals going bad in the bubble, they could have reorganized WCW and tried to stop the bleeding, and they could have very well have really streamlined the company. But because of all the major losses that AOL Time Warner was having, I'm telling you, everyone out there, if you can't find it, just reach out to me on Twitter and I will give you the link. And when you watch the segment with AOL Time Warner merging and you actually start looking at some of the other deals that were going on, if some of those deals didn't go south, there's a very high possibility that AOL Time Warner would not have dropped WCW. We'll never know, obviously, but it puts in perspective that, a lot of people think that AOL Time Warner merged, and then they looked at the books and they're like, why do we have this company on board? It's losing all this money. Get rid of it. That's not how it went down. Right. Puffy, I don't know if I like Aleister Black as the leader of the Dark Order. Aleister Black, to me, I think does better when he is by himself. Could he be the new Raven with a flock, Mish?
The guy's talented and charismatic enough to do a Raven of, you know what? That's a really good fucking comparison. Is Aleister Black?
Well, I came up with that, not Puffy.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's a very good comparison. Is Aleister Black potentially the new Raven? The 2021 Raven. I mean, I can see the parallels. It's not a bad comparison.
Yeah. By the way, thank you everyone. I started watching the Mick Foley A&E yesterday, but I went on a unnecessary 45-minute rant on our Patreon show that I removed for time constraints. By the time we edited and put it online, I was like 2 a.m. I had to get up at 6:30. Remember, Monday night, we also stood late, and then Sunday, I didn't go to sleep till 6:30 in the morning because of AEW, so I fell asleep yesterday. I will watch the rest of it today. From what I've seen so far, I told you, I absolutely adore Mick Foley. I don't agree with his politics, but I have a lot of personal fond memories with Mick Foley, and I've seen him do wonderful saint-like things. He's a very good man, and I don't think anybody out there should ever mock, him. If you disagree on his political view, and sometimes he really forces it, and I totally disagree with him, but overall, if you really feel that he's genuinely that good of a person, yeah, he is. He is. So, yeah, I don't want Tommy Dreamer getting involved with Aleister Black. No. Mike from New York here is hearing on top of all the recent releases, Stephanie has sold over 40% of her stock. Yes, she has. I'm telling you, dude, a lot of people and props, not just Mish, not just some of you tuning in right now or me. There are some very intelligent people out there that do podcast and blog and write that are actually paying attention to all of the transactions going on. Some people still don't realize that WWE released about 50 people in the last 2 weeks behind the scenes. That's not just, Mike, move here.
Yeah, they closed 4 departments, DT.
Yeah. Record profits, everyone. That's why they have record profits.
They consolidated. Yes.
Doesn't it feel, Mish, that they're streamlining? So if NBC Universal is interested in buying a company and they say, show me what you got, and Vince McMahon opens the books, I don't think NBC Universal wants to see 5 departments for WWE films.
Dude, that's the other funny thing, too. Let's be honest. NBC owns Peacock. WWE is doing everything through Peacock. You have a contingent of fans and analysts that are looking into this going, wow, what a great deal for WWE. We even went through the amount of money that WWE made from not only the deal, but even the transferring over. Let's not forget, the WWE network, all those WWE archives are transferred over to NBC's servers. All of that Peacock stuff is underneath NBC's banner right now. Now, we know that WWE Network still works internationally for a few countries that WWE is running on their own servers, and that's fine. And we all know that there's a vault somewhere with even more material that we will never see, or it'll never get to the light of day, or it's being saved for a rainy day. We don't know. But NBC already has control of all this material, all of this media on their servers. So they know what WWE has intimately because they went through and they've edited a lot of it. And they were re-editing it and they were cleaning it up. That's the other part of this whole Peacock deal that people forget is like these NBC executives and all these production people and these editors are literally toiling night and day cleaning up all this WWE stuff to be ready for NBC. So when NBC took control of that and they merged and they did the deal with Peacock, this isn't like WWE is going to like just pull out in a few years and go, oh, well, thanks for the memories and the money. We got to go. This was an idea for a long-term investment on the part of WWE and NBC.
See, this is what people need to remember. The deal with Peacock is almost like a rental. It's a 5-year deal, I guess, right? So if they don't come to a new deal, WWE could put the network right back into play. Now think about this. Right now, WWE made that insane deal with Peacock just for 5 years. That's a rental. That's not a purchase. If WWE sells to NBC Universal, now Peacock owns the footage.
Right. But they took the necessary steps. It's kind of like
NBC.
You're right. A rental is a good. It's on lease. The WWE network is on lease.
Not to interrupt you, it's like a car. It's like a car.
Exactly.
You go to a dealership and you say, okay, I like this 2022 Ultima. I want to lease it. 5 years, I'm going to lease it. All right, I'm going to pay $500 a month, whatever it is. After 5 years, if I understand, because I've never leased, I've only financed or I bought. But after 5 years, the bank says, okay, your lease is up. Give us the car back, or do you want to buy it?
Right.
So
exactly.
Technically, Peacock, they pretty much got like a car with a 5-year lease.
Right.
And
yes,
if I
they can put their own cigarette holder in there, they can put their own aromatic vanilla flowers in there. They can do whatever the hell they want to that car for 5 years.
If I leased the car from Acme Bank and then I buy Acme Bank, I own the car.
Right. Well, yeah, that's true too. But I'm pretty sure that WWE isn't going to buy NBC.
The W. What's up? If WWE were to be sold, do you think that benefits AEW in any way, being that McMahon wouldn't be at the helm anymore? I think it would help AEW because a lot of people feel that the fact that AEW is not a publicly traded company, they actually could go a lot further in some of what they do. A lot of middle fingers, some strong language, a little bit overboard with the hardcore stuff at times. They have a lot more creative flexibility. If WWE is sold to NBC Universal, you got one corporate giant selling it to another corporate giant. You know? So
I
think it helps AEW.
I think as far as the corporate stuff, you're probably right. But to the fans, it doesn't matter.
Well, think about
Honestly,
this.
at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to the fans because, all that matters to the fans is good storylines and good wrestling, something that they can enjoy.
Right.
I know that there's a lot of AEW and WWE hate going for both sides, but the reality is people just want to be entertained. So if WWE sells to NBC, will it help AEW? Not if they don't put on good storylines, not if they don't put on good wrestling, not if they don't do right by their fans.
Well, you know what would happen, too. If NBC Universal were to buy WWE, they would bring in some of their own in the company. And you would have WWE lifers working behind the scenes, now out of a job. That could help AEW behind the scenes. That's why, like I say, people.
Yeah.
Yeah, when people race to mock Mark Henry signing or Paul White signing, I think a lot of people don't understand how much of an asset that is to have a veteran that's been in the business 20, 30, 40 years behind the scenes trying to mold and, teach and help the generation of tomorrow not to make the same mistakes that they made, or help them along the way. I mean, you know, everybody knows I did some indie stuff, and my God, the biggest memories that I always talk about is standing in the locker room and watching people like Sandman or Shane Douglas or this person just hanging out with like 20 scrubs, including yours truly, and saying, you should say this like this or do this like this. And like I said, Harry Slash, the person that made all the ECW original music. I know a lot of you know Harry Slash and the Slash Tones. I haven't talked to him in a long time. That guy is one of the nicest people that I ever met in wrestling. And I sucked at what I did. And one show, some of you on the Thursday show already saw the footage that, you know, I was bad-mouthing Louis. I had a suit on. I walked around ringside after he just had a fireball put in his face by Balls Mahoney, and I did the Disney World thing, like after the Super Bowl. You just won the Super Bowl. What are you going to do? I'm going to go to Disney World. I did the spoof of that to Louis, and I yelled in his face. I said, I should not be able to talk to you like this. He whacked the chair off of my head, and I fell on the floor. My watch broke. Everybody was laughing at me, and, you know, I sold it. We went right to intermission. And I went in the back, and I swear to God, and the guy's still alive. See, anybody could ask him if you still talk to him. Harry Slash walks up to me with a wad of gauze and a marker. He says, Anthony, come here for a minute. And he goes up to me, and he starts wrapping gauze around my head. And I thought I looked like a goof. But in the middle of it, he's like coloring it in a little bit. Then he wraps it again. So you just see like a hint of pink. He says, I want you to wear this for the rest of the night. And then I walked around, and I thought I felt like an idiot at first, but everybody was like, man, you got whacked from that chair. Little things like that stay with you. And I'm not trying to compare that to what's going on in AEW, but you want veteran guys and gals to get in the ears to try to help some of these people and teach them this and see this and that. You don't want yes people or gushy people. You know, I brought up the Karrion Kross thing yesterday. You think Karrion Kross wants to go back to the people that support him, the biggest, and say, you fucking killed it yesterday. Oh, I know Adam Cole cut a promo, but you look like a monster in front of him. No, he wants to hear the truth, because you know what? That son of a bitch will now be obsessed that soon enough, he will cut a promo 10 times better than Adam Cole. So you want to know the truth. You don't want to hear people just gushing. So I think AEW would get some WWE lifers, some road agents.
You know what? People. I just got some news.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure that this is accurate. Apparently the reason everybody was let go was to pad Poppy's new contract on NXT.
For a minute, I thought you were going to give me some like really bad news. I thought you were giving me some really bad news. I was like, oh.
They're trying to get Poppy. It's, you know, you got to make room for Poppy. She got to get that payday.
As far as the budget cuts go, I don't know how I can make it any clearer of what I said the last time. If I have a deli and I have $10,000 in payroll, I have a deli. All right, yeah, it's been suffering a little bit because of COVID, but I'm making profits because people still need to buy food and everything. Now, you know, I don't know what the future is. If something else could happen or whatever. So what I do is I have in my current budget payroll $10,000, utilities this amount of money, insurance this amount of money, overhead, stock. Now I turn around and I say, you know what? We're doing good, but we need to build on that. So you know what? We got to cut our budget from payroll from $10,000 to $9,000. We need to cut our overhead for like break room stuff from this to this. Now, even though I'm making a profit, I could trim my budget down because I want to build on that. I want to have a nest egg. Maybe I want to invest. Maybe I want to open up another place. Maybe I'm worried about 2-3 years from now, but I'm not going to say that to anybody. So when WWE tells these people budget cuts, there is no magic number that WWE has to follow. If WWE is spending $5, $10 million, or $50 million a year in payroll, and they say, you know what, we want to trim that down to $40 million instead of $50 million. Even if they're making $1 billion in profit, they can make their budget anything they want. They can make their budget $100 million. They can make their budget $10 million. Whatever they want their budget to be. If this person goes outside that budget and they feel that they're not helping the company, they can say, look, budget cuts. But you're making big profits. Yeah, but our budget is only $10 million in payroll and you're not part of it. I know it sounds cold, but that's the deal with it. So, RCW Lee, oh man, much love, my friend. He's getting married this weekend.
Yeah,
Lee Sanders.
Yeah, much
Congrats,
love.
my friend.
I
Congrats.
Sometime.
I feel like an absolute asshole that he had to super chat. I just completely forgot with just everything going on. Lee, man, have a blast. All the best, man. I hope I follow you.
Congratulations, Lee.
Yeah, I mean, I have to do it next year. If I don't get married next year, I'm going to get dumped. I can tell you right now, because I'm with her 9 years already, and it hasn't happened yet for various reasons. But everyone out there, congratulate Lee. He is RCWR. He's the only moderator, by the way, other than Mish. So much love, my friend. Congratulations, and have an awesome time. Definitely send us pictures. I'm dead serious. Send us pictures. Love to see it. I can't show my fiance, though, because she'll be like, oh, my God, someone else got married now. She fucking kills me with that. Edwin G., thank you again for your service. Much love. Can't be on all the live streams because of his job, I would think. But you always have our support as well, Edwin. So thank you. Edwin. I haven't gotten the answer yet. They told me 3 to 5 days. Today makes 3 because of the holiday. So I will find out in the next day or two what's going on inside me. Whatever it is, it is. I mean, I don't want to bring the show down tonight. I'm going to be confident that everything will be good. I'm keeping the fingers crossed. And for everyone out there that wishes my demise, it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet. I could say it with a smile. SoFly, the fans were booing MSK yesterday. Thank you. Mish, 45 seconds. I have their shirt. I don't buy shirts. So I could get a DM from MSK. Yo, man, love the shirt tonight. LOL. I buy it to show support. Trust me, we're going to be giving away some merchandise from some of the people released. Try to support them as well, even though some of them don't need it financially. But I've been pointing out for the last month that MSK doesn't seem to be as over as it's portrayed. Now, by the end of the night, the crowd loved it because they once again proved it in the ring. But if you pay close attention when MSK comes out for some of their matches, utter silence, or you do see some people, and more people are into Legado del Fantasma, I think WWE realizes. So good observation yesterday. Good observation. MSK, it's not, Benjamin, it's nothing against them or their ability. It's just that, they really debuted, to video screens. And, there's a very low audience attendance there, so it doesn't equate on TV. And, online, you see some profile vignettes here and there, but it's not enough, They'll get momentum. I mean, they're too good inside and outside the ring. They really, should. But Legado del Fantasma, man, they're badass. And the fans do see that. So, plus, look who they've been facing. Think anybody really cares about the Grizzled veterans? A lot of people don't care about that. So, anyway, to wrap up the final two people who were cut. First of all, Santana Garrett. Mish, I think, no disrespect against her, I think she would probably be the easiest for us to discuss. I think the problem with Santana Garrett is there is a boatload of WWE women wrestlers who have nice, colorful outfits. I know Santana Garrett has not been given TV time to establish a character, but she doesn't have that uniqueness. You know what I mean? Like, there's just something about her that just seems to blend in with a lot of other, like if I told you she was in AEW, if I told you she was in Impact, if I told you she was in MLW, if I told you she was in Ring of Honor, you know what I mean? Like there's just something that to me just doesn't click with WWE. You know what I mean? Like I kind of get the same feeling about Ty Conti, Deonna Purrazzo, right, that there's too many women above them on the food chain, that WWE, for those women, they're like, why are we going to let Deonna Purrazzo float in mediocrity because there's 10 women that we're pushing before her? You know what I mean? So that could very well be the case with Santana Garrett. It's just so many women above her on the food chain in NXT and WWE. It's like, what do you want to do? Do you want her to be on TV to get squashed every week?
But once again, we're talking about a division that's been depleted. It's very odd to me that they are choosing more of these women to release, and I understand what you're saying, that she doesn't really seem to have a presence about her that would really, incite fans in either to love or hate her. She just doesn't have the extraordinary charisma, or even in the ring, she's good, but you're talking about she has building blocks that she has to establish. But on that same token, you're talking about a women's division that's been depleted. So it's another, I'm not really sure what the point of it was, but, at the end of the day, I'm still not completely sure about why a lot of these people released. So, Santana Garrett just kind of falls in the wayside. She might be one of those prospects where WWE releases her now, and if she goes somewhere else and she finds out who she is, if she finds her character, finds her niche, finds her, her comfort zone, and gets better and adopts, something that WWE sees as potentially money making, I have no doubt in my mind that they'll pick her back up.
She is 33. She debuted in TNA in 2010.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. She was along with the Orlando Jordan stuff early on. I don't know. I honestly, and look, I could give a shit about age. I still am baffled about the treatment of Mickie James. You think of Shayna Baszler and others. I think a lot of people don't realize how many wrestlers in WWE are pushing 40 in the women's side. But with Santana Garrett, when you realize that how many years she's been wrestling, and now she's 33, I'm talking about WWE standards.
You know what?
She has to create a firestorm if WWE.
Let me throw this out here. So the WWE women's roster has been depleted for a little bit, and this is going to be fun for everyone, I'm sure. Uh-oh. So how soon do we expect Nikki and Brie Bella to be back on television? Are we saying a couple weeks, maybe a month? Because we know that Nikki's been talking about it for a long minute now, and Brie I'm not really sure about, but Nikki definitely wants to come back into the ring. So how long? What are we saying? 3 weeks, 4 weeks? A little Mistradamus prediction here. Man. The Bellas back in WWE to carry the ball when everybody else has dropped it.
Man, you dismantle 4 or 5 women's tag teams so all the focus could be on the Bellas. Man, that would be a really freaking hard sell for me, man. I could see it. I could see where you're going with this, but man, I don't know many people. Oh, God. Oh, we're going to finally get the feud we always wanted. The Bellas versus Natalya and Tamina.
No, it's going to be the Bellas taking on brand new competition It's going to be like Nikki Bella versus Bianca Belair. Come on, guys. Aren't you ready for that?
That's not a still frame, by the way. I want to see how long I can go without blinking my eyes. You want to know something? I actually noticed that about Tony Khan. I swear to God, I never talked about it before. Sometimes when I watch Tony Khan on Busted Open and stuff like that, I'm amazed. The guy could go 90 seconds without blinking his eyes. He actually could go over a minute without blinking his eyes. He'll be talking about AEW and he'll do it like this. Yeah, so we just had this pay-per-view Sunday, and it was pretty damn good. And, even though it was Memorial Day and our ratings were kind of like this, and, but I think this Friday we'll make a comeback, and, wow, it's great to see Sting. See, I can't even go that long. God.
I still haven't blinked my eyes today, so I'm
yeah,
good.
I know. You know what? Go vape. I'm kidding. So Santana Garrett, I mean, look, she never got the opportunity that she probably should have gotten, but I don't know. I mean, at 33 and how WWE treats older, I don't agree with it, but the way WWE treats that, she would have to, something crazy with momentum would have to get behind her where WWE could be like, we got to bring her back. I don't know. It's one of those names that you just say like, man, I hope she'll probably show back up on Impact. I honestly think she'll probably be right back on Impact. So she'll have a chip on her shoulder. Yeah. Speaking of chip on their shoulder, the last person for today. And actually, I think this picture is a little too small. I think he deserves a little more in the size department. Aaliyah's boyfriend.
Aaliyah.
Murphy.
Yeah.
This is another one that I don't understand. The guy is, and remember, one of the hottest feuds. And didn't they team for a little while also? Aleister Black and Murphy?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, put it this way. Back in 1995, Rey Mysterio and Psychosis, or Hoovy would be two. They were killing it for a little while in ECW, and they went to WCW. And the easiest go-to is just have Rey versus Psychosis or Hoovy. Or Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko around 95. Oh, you want to have an awesome match on WCW? Oh, just put Eddie versus Dean. Like, if AEW were to pick up Aleister Black and Murphy, all you got to do is just put them against each other. And that's it. Like, I know we already saw Rey and, Psychosis in ECW, but we saw it over and over and over and over again in WCW, and we loved it every single time. Why did it not work with Murphy?
No, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I don't think Murphy connected with as many people. I think Murphy had some good moments. I mean, even before the Aaliyah storyline and everything else like that. But I don't know. I don't think he really connected with people, and that's kind of a shame. He's a talented guy, but I think he'll do fine on the Indies. He'll do fine in wherever he ends up, whichever company he goes to. So,
yeah, I think the writing was on the wall for a while with Murphy.
Right.
They tried putting him with Rollins. Then they had the falling out. And I tell you, you start seeing a little bit of a repetition with WWE. Like, some people are released, get put in some strange storylines that don't seem to fit completely, even if it's for a very short period of time. Because remember, Murphy broke away from Rollins, and then he went with Aaliyah and the Mysterio family and all that, and then they put him back on TV after a long absence about a month and a half ago, and Murphy tells Rollins, let me prove myself, let me do whatever he said. And we were like, wait a minute, we just had the Mysterios accept him into the family, and they're doing this again? Like, it didn't make sense. Now you look at like Ruby Riott, we're like, wait, they turned into Riot Squad heel? Doesn't really seem to make sense. Right. Wait, they have Billy Kay walking around with resumes? Like, almost every person, got put in a situation. For me, Braun Strowman and Aleister Black are the two that still baffle the shit out of me. WWE could afford 1,000 Braun Strowmans. Murphy, I don't know where he goes from here. I personally think Murphy would be best suited in Impact Wrestling.
Yeah.
I think
can see that.
He would be perfect in Impact
Wrestling. I saw
Wrestling.
people saying MLW. Can you see him in MLW?
I could see him in MLW. I don't know, if that unhinged Forbidden Door could apply to Impact and MLW, but I could see him doing both if possible. I could see him in New Japan also, SoFly. But I think Murphy in Impact Wrestling, you think of Impact Wrestling's X division right now, I think Murphy would slide right in there. I think he would be great. I'd rather see him in Impact because then I would see him on a weekly basis in the States. New Japan, it's not completely grown on me yet, as has 95% of you also. Would you think he would be a good fit in NWA?
No, I really don't. NWA is a little bit more of a methodical pace kind of place right now, and as we were talking about before, they're starting to let fans back in and stuff like that. I think you would have to almost hold him down a little bit in order for him to wrestle in NWA. So you don't want to do that. You want to show the example of this guy at his best. So I think Buddy Murphy will do better and probably like an MLW. So
I'm going to try to make your picture a little bit shorter. See if I could fit it into this thing. I mean, obviously it's not perfect. But maybe we'll try it and look, if we have connection issues and the calls don't go through, then I'll work on it during the weekend, and we could.
You just have to change the layer. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna have time to change layers, but it's actually, you know what? I probably can change the layer. I'm trying so hard to learn this stuff on the fly. Let me see what happens if I do. Where is Mish's picture? Okay, is this your picture? Oh, that's not your picture.
No.
My mistake. Hold on. Let's clear this. What is your picture name? Okay, we got a 2020 over here. I'm sorry for everybody just for this lull, but me, I like things to look pretty close to perfect. Okay, so now if I do that, then I could clear this. Okay. That doesn't seem to help all that much, but no.
All right. That's fine.
No, actually, I think if we do this and this,
right.
slide this over. Oh, it's still not. Maybe if I make it transparent.
Right, I'll just make it huge.
I might have to make it transparent. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that may have to do for now. Let me see if I do this. The interlace blend. Oh, I did it. Yes. See, there's the trick. The interlace blend. All right. I think that kind of worked. Yeah, all right, I think it'll do. So anyway, you know what I'll do also? Let me I don't want to start screwing myself up. I was going to give myself a bigger head over here. Go like this. Just trim the sides off like this. Actually, I figured out how I could fix yours, but all right, I guess that's good enough.
All right, dude.
All right. So here's the deal, everybody. I have my phone right here. I have it on Do Not Disturb right now, so if anybody has tried to call in and they can't get through, that is why. So, again, I don't have the software. I know Jason and others take calls. But, I'm not saying I reached out to him, but I've reached out to a few people that take calls, asking them to steer me in the direction they do, and nobody seems to reach out. So I have to do this on my own, and little by little I've been working on it. This is not exactly what we wanted to do tonight, but we figured, why not? You know, if some of you want to call in and say a couple of words about the releases, you know, all I ask is, you know, the reason why we stopped taking calls many years ago is people would call in just to call in. And, you know, you don't ever want to hang up on someone or disconnect the call or this and that. But, you know, after a while, we get a lot of people complaining, so we just 86'd it. But, you know, like I said, I don't care about anybody's phone numbers. I don't save them. But, you know, just to eliminate trolling, unlisted numbers we do not post. Anybody that calls in that trolls, their number gets blocked. And if I want to be an ultimate asshole, yeah, I'll reveal your number on social media and have everybody call you and see how you feel about it.
Jesus, don't.
No, I'll do that, man. I don't give a shit.
No, you can't.
Yeah, I can. I won't lose.
No,
I won't do it on
can't.
YouTube. But I don't think anybody's going to do that. I mean, we're grown adults here. So the number is 225 Don Tony. We try to keep the numbers as easy as possible. So I have my phone right here. If Cruiserweight wanted to call in. I always wanted to hear Cruiserweight's voice. Did Cruiserweight ever play like games with us?
Yes.
He's talked before?
Yes.
All right. Well, let's see who this is. Hey, you're on. Who's this?
Hey, DT, it's Crazy Cruiserweight. What's going on?
All right, man. So everyone out there, let me know that you could hear him over K, because like I said, you know, this is the first time we're doing this, and, you know, I'm hoping there's no echoing or anything like that. But Cruiserweight, what's going on? What do you think about these releases?
Hello?
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. A bit shocked by some of them. Lana, I felt like, you know, better that she goes back into a managerial role, go be with her husband. Santana Garrett, I think you know, DT, I was a big fan of hers. I saw her on an indie show like a couple of years back here in New York, and I've always been a fan of hers. And I just felt like when she got to WWE and NXT, I just thought, you know, maybe this would be her big break, and it just didn't turn out that way. And with Aleister Black and Murphy, I really like both of those guys. I think if things get better back in Japan, I would prefer to see Buddy Murphy in the New Japan ring. Honestly, he would do better in the junior heavyweight division. He would actually have some really good matches out there. That's just me. You and Mish may not agree with it. That's fine. Some people in the chat may not agree with it. That's totally fine. But Aleister Black, I do see him in an AEW in some type of way, but I do think he could go back overseas to Europe. You know, that's where his stomping ground was for a time or two. But, you know, I do hope better for these guys. And, you know, if they do come back one day, then so be it. Hey, Drew McIntyre got released many years ago. And he came back. They put him in NXT for a bit on the main roster. He's a two-time WWE champion, and rest is history. So, you know, it's never the end for these guys and girls.
Yeah.
But I just felt like some of them there's more ahead. Ruby Riott, I really want to see where she goes. She's like a wild card to me. I feel like she's the one who I would bring back in the future. That's just me.
I think NWA would be great for Ruby Riott. I think going up with Thunder Rosa, I don't know if she would actually be a good fit in AEW. Because I just don't see AEW. Yeah, I don't see AEW like really looking to like push her to the top. You know, I could see her being a nice compliment in NWA.
Yeah, because I think about Ruby Riott in AEW, and I get the feeling of Diamante and Evilise in AEW. They just didn't do much. They didn't do much with Diamante, and they're still not doing much with her now.
Yeah.
You guys can cut me off if anything, but that's how I feel. Strowman, I don't know with Braun. I feel like Braun is like another wild card to me, but I do hope he's doing better.
He told me to cut him off, so no, I'm only kidding. I'm joking.
Yeah.
You're making very valid points. I agree with pretty much everything. I like the idea of having Murphy go to New Japan. Maybe you put him in a tournament. Maybe you put him in for a couple of matches just to get, a little bit, exposure over there, and then feel it out and see where it goes. I'm very surprised that New Japan signed Lio Rush.
Yeah, well, then again, I do remember Lio Rush has been making appearances for the New Japan USA side, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So Murphy could do that as well. He could stay stateside with New Japan. And, when the travel restrictions and everything gets better, hopefully he'll make his way overseas, so, they could just feel him out or anything like that. Because you never know. And Mish, I know Mish hasn't been really paying much to Puro lately, but I think would Murphy get you back into watching Puro a bit, Mish, or no?
What do you think, Mish?
I'm not sure, dude. It would be interesting, for his future, but I really don't have any idea what's best for him at this time.
All right, no problem. But yeah, I just feel like there's more cuts coming still. That's just me.
I agree.
And DT, I do agree with you on this. You made this point a few weeks ago, and I think this is the problem with wrestling fans that gives a lot of us wrestling fans a bad name, where a wrestler could get released. It could be multiple of them. But then you see a lot of these people saying, oh, why aren't you releasing this person because of what they said on Twitter last year or what they did? And I'm just like, wait a minute. A lot of people are just losing their jobs now, but you're calling out for one person. And you're happy when that one person loses their job. And you're upset when it's hypocritical to me in that sense. I just like... It's showing your favoritism too much. It's a bad stigma to have, really. Look, I may not be the biggest Daniel Bryan fan out there, and I'm not. But if he got released, I'd be like, you know what? Maybe there's more stuff he can do. His options are endless because people will want to sign him tomorrow.
Right.
But that's just me. And DT, I do have to correct you on something because you're messing up someone's name a lot. It's not Chalil Sonin, it's Chael Sonnen.
I know.
You keep messing it up, man.
I know. Chael Sonnen.
It's also Rhea Ripley, not Rhea Ripley.
I know. I always say Rhea. Yesterday I said Tony Loke. I think because I combined the rapper and the former indie wrestler that I brawled in VPW. I botch some names. Pretty funny. I don't botch the Japanese names anymore, but I botch everybody else's.
It's also plethora.
You got better with the Japanese names.
Plethora. I always say plethora. I know.
Yeah, it's plethora, not plethora.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
but
Krause, it was nice talking to you.
Krause.
Yeah.
Mish, one last thing before I go. Sorry to keep you guys with this. Right. Mish, I know you're a comic book reader, Mish. You like comic books and all that stuff, comic book movies as well. There's a new comic book series coming out in the near future via Comixology from the YouTube channel called Variant Comics. There's a comic called Astonishing Time, so it's something completely new. I'll send you a link later, Mish, but it's something you should definitely look into when you get the time.
All right, man. Yeah, go ahead, send over that link. Appreciate it.
Cruiserweight, much love, my friend.
You guys have a good night. Everybody in the chat have a good night, especially you, Ben. I'm trying to get banned tonight.
Yeah, all the best, my friend.
All the best. Much love.
Take care. Cruiserweight broke our cherry. Cruiserweight, man. I tell you, I tried doing calls once on our members only. The first episode, it didn't work. I tried so fucking hard. I don't know why it wouldn't go off for Do Not Disturb, but this brings back memories because we used to take calls. I mean, it's got to be a good decade since I used to take calls, so it's been a long time. But I tell you, this Do Not Disturb thing actually works pretty good while the call comes in. This way, there's no call waiting or anything like that. But if anybody else wants to call in, we're going to start wrapping this up soon. So if you want to call in, got a comment or two you want to talk about with the releases, absolutely. 225 Don Toy. It's not toll-free. I have a toll-free number. I haven't posted it publicly yet, but I do have a toll-free number that will be available In fact, if this works out good, maybe next week I'll post it. So let me just, like I said, this software is very quirky because the Do Not Disturb, it's really just sliding a bar, but it takes like some time to let like the phone company know that it's off Do Not Disturb. So it's not like you just remove the bar and then a call comes in. So we'll see, hopefully I didn't just fuck it up, but 225-366-8669. If you want to stop by, say hi, have something to talk about with the releases. Hopefully it'll go through. Let's see. All right, I just opened it up. So, but Cruiserweight brings up good points. But I tell you, what he said, the one thing that stuck out to me more than anything is that David Peralta is on the phone. David, what's going on, my brother?
What's good, man? How you doing?
Not bad, not bad. What's on your mind?
What's going on, David?
Well, I gotta tell you, the whole release thing is a big shocker. I heard about it just recently. I'm like, wow, didn't expect this. Did not expect that whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still baffled. Yes, I'm typing this as we go on here because I have to get used to doing this on the fly. But I'm a little baffled still. The Braun Strowman thing, out of everything, makes no sense to me. You're going back to live fans. You're going to be up close and personal. And I tell you, I'm going to throw something out there that is probably going to sound absolutely stupid. But no, I'm dead serious. Do you think that there is any possibility that some people could be released because they won't get vaccinated?
I don't think they can do that.
We haven't heard. I mean, I don't know if that's the case because, look, everybody's got a right to an opinion about what they want to do as far as their health. If there's been word regarding that, then I don't know how to explain that because it's kind of a silly yet difficult situation to deal with. I mean, look, I got vaccinated because of my job, and thank God I still have my job working at Amazon as a Whole Food shopper. And I feel thankful every day that I got to do something like that just to get my mind off of some stuff that's going on in the world today. But hearing that, I mean, again, I don't know, but hopefully we might get answers from that. But I don't know if there's ever been a situation like that regarding it. You know
who surprised you the most out of the releases?
Surprised me the most? Wow. That's a good question, man. I really don't know. I mean,
if it came down to Strowman or Aleister Black,
I gotta say Aleister Black because when they tried that new gimmick, the whole Joseph C. Far Cry 5 type of game, I was like, okay, this is starting to go somewhere. It's got a little spark going on. But the fact that they had to leave him out that quickly, I was like, man, that is pathetic. That is absolutely pathetic. It's so funny because Zelina Vega is now coming back, and now Aleister Black is leaving. I'm like, they got to do something with this guy. There's no way they're going to just fire him and bring his wife. Well, I don't know if they're married and shit, but there's no way they're going to do something like that. I just think it's silly.
Now, you know what? It asked the question, maybe Zelina doesn't come back now because of them releasing her fiance, boyfriend, whatever. I don't think they're married, but it's the new RKO RKO. It's the release out of nowhere. That's the RKO. Right. I mean, he just got released out of nowhere. I mean, if they would have released him before doing these vignettes, I think we would have all been like, you know what, they haven't done anything with him in so long. Maybe it had to do with Zelina Vega leaving this, that. We would have been, it sucks, but whatever. But to have what seemed like some momentum over the last month with these vignettes, teasing for something big, and then just to release him out of nowhere, something more.
Let me ask you something, though, David. As far as Aleister Black goes, as being the surprise for you, do you think it would be a good move for him to move to like a bigger company like AEW? Or would you prefer him to do a little international tour?
Well, I don't know about AEW because like I got a feeling that because I heard about what you were saying earlier that him being part of the Dark Order, I think it's just that's too early for that. I don't think that should work. It's not going to work. As far as international, well, if he wants to go into Japan, then by all means, that's all good. I mean, whatever's up to him. If he's happy with what he wants to do, let him do it.
By the way, they are married. They are married.
Okay. All right. Oh, okay. Good.
Let me ask you one more question. Do you think, since nobody really has an idea and really can't figure out why Black was released, do you pay any credence to an idea that maybe there was some kind of revenge for Vega?
Oh, man. See, I don't know, man. I think it would have been silly if it did. But, like, look at what happened with Rusev. Like, when Lana took a lot of, like, table shots, was that really based off of Rusev, or did she really, like, enjoy going through those table shots?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
don't forget about her kissing another man, too.
Yeah.
Don't forget about her kissing Bobby Lashley. As a married woman, they had her kissing Bobby Lashley.
Right. What you saying?
Yeah. Well, David, thank you for calling in. We'll have many more conversations in the very near future.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So much love, my friend.
You too, brother.
All right. Be well. Talk to you soon.
Yeah. Take care.
Take it easy, Debbie.
Take care, my friend. 225. Don Tony. We got to, not kidding. I actually was looking for like 1-800 Don and Mish. I'm not kidding. I actually was seeking out for it, but
I'm not kidding.
nice little surprise. Hi, you're on. Who's this?
It's me, Leonardo.
Yeah.
No,
What's going on?
not much, are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Hey,
Hey, you're on. Who's this?
Hi, it's Elizabeth. I'm calling from Illinois.
Hey, Elizabeth. What's going on?
Not much. I was surprised by the releases.
Which one surprised you the most and which one surprised you the least?
Well, Braun and Aleister, considering the fact that just 2 weeks ago, Aleister came back on TV.
Yeah.
And it's like, but then he wasn't on last week. But they've done that before. Had people on and then pull them off the air like they did with Xia Li. But it's like, with Braun, they couldn't make up their mind what they wanted to do. Yeah. One minute he was bad. Then he was good. Then he was bad. Then they had that stupid storyline with Shane.
Yeah, it seemed like they really wanted to make sure he was a part of WrestleMania, so he did the storyline with Shane. I mean, the storyline was stupid, but I thought Braun Strowman made the best out of it. They made him look very strong. And the thing that I think that we didn't even bring up tonight is he just competed at WrestleMania Backlash in the main event for the heavyweight title. I mean, I haven't watched that match back today, but I don't recall him doing a bad job.
Let me ask you guys this. Maybe we're looking at this wrong.
It was.
And
do you think for a moment?
Well, and even Lana, she was another one. They really didn't know what to do with her. They kept changing her around, kept her bouncing her from one partner to another, and it's like. And I kind of think, like I said, that they were being petty with her with the chair shots. They kept saying, oh, she agreed to him, but not 9 times in a row. That's going to take a toll on somebody.
Yeah.
You're thinking, well, my husband's gone, and now they're doing this. But, and the thing, we keep getting the same, now we're getting the same storylines over and over again. We're getting deja vu. We're getting repeats. And I'm like, come on. You had all these people. You couldn't come up with whole new storylines to write the stuff. And then on top of it, was hearing that like maybe an hour, hour and a half, two before Monday Night Raw, Vince would show up and rip up the whole script, and they had to rewrite it on the fly. That's why a lot of these shows on Raw have been crap.
Yeah. He keeps ripping the script up. It makes everything look like a mess, and it's not necessarily the wrestler's fault sometimes.
No. And it's like what you said, Tony. They took chicken shit and made chicken salad.
It's true.
They do the best they can, and it's like
Got to see what happens with Naomi now. Because is Naomi somehow going to get put in the title picture with Rhea Ripley? I don't feel that. I mean, is she going to get put in the title picture on SmackDown? I don't see that. I don't see her going to NXT. I'm thinking to myself, what's going to happen to Naomi out of all of this?
Well, really with Naomi, they could put her with her husband on SmackDown and have her part of the whole thing with, you know, whatever that blow-up's going to be with the Usos and Roman. Since she's married to Jimmy, I believe it is, they could have her come in and have the whole thing with that. To add her to that storyline.
That would be something.
And wife, and you know, like Bianca said, I'm going to defend my man with Montez Ford and that. And I think I don't understand the whole thing with Bailey. What's the deal with her constantly coming out and just doing the
I know, it gets
Bianca,
old.
it's like, yeah, that's what I said. A lot of these, that's why ratings are dropping.
Yeah.
I'll have the shows on, but 9 times out of 10, I've got the volume turned down and I'm watching something on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I might have it out of the corner of my eye.
Yeah. I tell you, I kind of like the idea of they would dare have Naomi get in this storyline with Jimmy. You know, it would be a real interesting twist to see if they would really go there, you know, with the Roman Reigns stuff. I mean, the only problem is then what? You know what I mean? Like, I'm a little concerned for Naomi right now. I mean, I just don't want her to turn into the next squash girl, because I know social media will not accept that. But, you know, who knows? I could see, look, if she came to SmackDown just to the defense of her husband, you know, you could picture WWE doing something like that where somebody's, you know, love of their life shows up and tries to confront like Roman Reigns, or that would be interesting. Mish, what do you think about that?
Sure. I mean, I guess if you want a fantasy book, we can talk about all these little love angles that we could do and stuff like that. But I was actually more concerned about, you know, who did you actually were shocked by there, Elizabeth, on who was released? Like, which one was the one that you were just like, oh, wow, I can't believe that WWE would release them. That's just insane.
I think we might have lost her. But, well, Elizabeth, I appreciate you calling in. You know, it's not going to be perfect, the calls the first time around. No, but she made some very valid points. You know what? Braun Strowman by far is the bigger name, but I think in the end, I think
more people are
surprised about Aleister Black.
Right, because of the way the direction was going. What I was actually trying to say earlier was, were you, like, maybe we're taking this wrong when it comes to Braun Strowman. Do you think that them giving them WWE Backlash, WrestleMania Backlash, putting him in the main event of that, do you think that was WWE doing right by Braun Strowman before releasing him? Because isn't that kind of what the old days was like? They would give you one big blow-off feud and you would lose and leave town and go to a different territory, but at that same point, they built you up before they let you go?
This felt so random, like so sudden. Not random, it's sudden. I don't feel 3 weeks ago they thought they were going to release this guy. I think that, you know, they had a list, obviously, but I think putting him in the main event to give him that opportunity, I thought was a way for them to maybe changed their minds. Maybe they felt their minds were not changed, but I'm still baffled by it. But I think we have someone on. Are you there?
Yeah, Don Tony.
Yeah, what's going on?
Hey, it's Steve. I've been in the chat a couple different times.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Steve, what's going on?
Oh, not much, man. I just wanted to call in and just talk about the releases.
Sure. Go ahead.
You know what? I'm with you guys, but I wanted to actually ask you this question because you know how WWE I think Dave Meltzer and you were bringing it up that they were talking about like WWE and New Japan working together. Do you think that some of these people that got released, if they do end up going to New Japan, that they could still be a part of that partnership where they still work with WWE?
Mish, that's freaking phenomenal question. If WWE works out a deal with New Japan and New Japan has like Aleister Black or Murphy like in there, that would be pretty wild to see them like on the I mean, it may or may not because I'm hearing super shows only. Like I'm not hearing like the wrestlers coming into the States and staying with WWE for an extended period of time. But what do you think about it? I think that's a fabulous thought that some of these wrestlers could very well be part of New Japan.
Sure, it'd be an absolutely fun idea. We've always enjoyed the idea of cross promotion. And so when you take two big companies like WWE and NJPW and you toy with the idea, you fantasize with the idea of having these fantasy matchups between these two companies, it would be a little bit more enjoyable and a little bit of like a thumb to the nose, you know, where you can see former WWE talent underneath NJPW's banner wrestling against their former friends. Yeah. You know, so yeah, that could be fun.
Which release surprised you the most today?
I'm with you guys, Aleister Black. Just because he had like the vignettes almost every single week, I really thought that they were going to do something because we haven't heard like anything from like a long time. So I would have made sense if they would just release him then. To all of a sudden he just shows up and then he beats up like Big E Langston. Now, what do you? Can I ask you guys a question? Like, so let's say they bring back like Big E. Like, what are they going to do? That we're just going to forget that Aleister Black was just there, just like beating him up, and he's just going to move on and do like another type of storyline or something like that?
Probably. Yeah. They'll I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Big E is off TV for a week just to try to get that thought out of people's heads, or they may not even repeat it next week. You know, I mean, if Aleister, I'll tell you the truth, if they knew that they were going to release this guy, they should have had Aleister Black do some horrendous stuff to Big E on TV, where they would have played off on TV that Aleister Black has been suspended indefinitely for his actions. Even though we know he's gone, but, you know, he didn't do enough on TV for Big E to be written off TV for a little while and to, quote-unquote, suspend Aleister Black. So that's a great point, too. How do you handle Big E? I mean, maybe he just bumps into someone in the back and we get the Acme Insta feud. So, but I tell you, I love that New Japan thought. I didn't even think about that earlier. That would be pretty wild to see some of these wrestlers really like pick it up in New Japan and then they end up on a WWE Super Show with New Japan after all. So, but
and I just thought of that just from like everybody saying that they could possibly work with them, and then all of a sudden, like WWE and New Japan, like they're talking. I mean, I don't know if that'll actually be official, but if it is, then maybe we'll be something where they could like end up working together and stuff. And then I don't know if you also heard this too, Don Tony, but there's been like reports saying that this was like over the weekend that people have been saying that if they do work together, that Daniel Bryan might have something to do with that. I don't know if you heard anything about that.
There's been some reports that Daniel Bryan is the one that really pushed for this idea. I will tell you that, you know, Sasha Banks is pushing for an all-women's show. Daniel Bryan is pushing for WWE to do some work with New Japan. You know, there are some people there that do have some influence, but at the end of the day, there's nobody on that roster, honestly, that is going to be able to get into the ear of Vince McMahon that much where Vince McMahon changes the landscape of how they do business. You know, I'm sure that they welcome ideas from a lot of people, but, you know, Daniel Bryan's contract has come to an end, and they're negotiating a new one. And I don't think that Daniel Bryan dangling in front of WWE, you want me to stay? Let's do something with New Japan, which happens to be doing a little bit with AEW. I think if I was WWE, I would say, go home to your wife. You know what I mean? Like, I put it this way. Here's a good one. Remember in January when we were all complaining about Nakamura, how mistreated he was, and then he got like 2-3 wins, and all the news reports was that Daniel Bryan is the reason behind Nakamura getting this push and this person getting a win, this person. And as soon as the Royal Rumble came and went, as did all their pushes. And all of that reporting that Daniel Bryan was the one behind all these wins and this and that, it went away. I don't think Daniel Bryan has that much input. He gives opinions and ideas, but at the end of the day, WWE is the one pulling the strings and pushing the buttons. And I think Daniel Bryan has definitely proposed some ideas, but, you know, I don't know how much of that is actually legit. So.
Yeah, I didn't think so. That's why I usually listen to you, because I don't usually have all the insight, because it's tough with like all like the dirt sheets trying to say like a whole bunch of different things. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, look, you have Ruby Riott released today. Now all the people are saying, oh, the Riott Squad was supposed to win at Mania to take on the champions. Well, that's nice to say right after they're released. Where were all these sources from WrestleMania until yesterday? You know, people do that because they know Vince, Triple H, and others are not going to go out on social media and say, this news report's not true. Those rumors are not true. They weren't supposed to win. They could say anything, and there's nobody that's going to step up and call him a liar. So, you know, I try to sift it out, but that's why many times you don't even ever hear it brought onto these shows, because, you know, if we can't get some legit info behind it, then we don't even talk about it.
And I remember a long time, I think it wasn't that long ago when there was more releases, you have like all these people that are bringing up like different names where, oh, I could see like Shelton Benjamin or like Sheldrick Alexander and like all these like different people, and you know, like they put it on like Twitter and like all these like random sheets. And I'm with you, like when you said that if these people actually feel like, you know, like they're just looking through like the Twitter and they see like their name trending because like some bozo is like doing something and talking about their job, I think I completely agree with you that I don't think that that's fair either.
Look at Liv Morgan today. Look at Keith Lee today. I mean, those two could very well end up being released, but I wonder how they feel when they go. See, this is the thing that pisses me off about Twitter. Quite a few people posted earlier that Liv Morgan was gone. Then they posted a tweet saying, oh, I made a mistake. But they leave the original tweet up there. That just shows you that they're more concerned about getting attention and hits than anything else. Because if I report something wrong on Twitter and I post a tweet, apologize, say I made a mistake, I delete the original tweet. You're not the president where your tweet, once it's there, it's got to stay up. And these people leave the original tweet with the wrong information because they know that when people start Googling rumors of this person released, this person released, their tweet is going to show up in the search results. And to me, I'm sorry for cursing to your face. That's not you, but I think it's an absolute dick move on a lot of people's part. That is so low budget. You know, I felt bad for Liv Morgan today, but I felt even worse that the people who made the mistakes didn't just delete the comment. And then all they can simply say is, look, I reported earlier that Liv Morgan was released. I made a mistake. I apologize. I deleted that tweet. No, they'll leave the original tweet up. Unprofessional.
Yeah. I agree with that. And before, I don't want to take too much more of your time, but I do want to ask you too. I know with if it gets overshadowed, like especially with like all these other people getting released. What do you think about like Velveteen Dream and like Samoa Joe and stuff? Like, do you think that they're going to be showing up at like any of these promotions too? Because I know that they still got released and everybody's still waiting on them, on like them too.
Yeah. Mish, what do you think?
I'm not sure I couldn't hear him. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. For me, I think Samoa Joe wants to wrestle a little bit longer. I don't know if he would go back to his roots for Ring of Honor, but Samoa Joe wants to wrestle a little bit more before his career is done. I could see him showing up in AEW for a couple of matches, similar to like what Matt Cardona did. Samoa Joe, because back when I was a big ECW fan in 1996, for a very short period of time, we had Dr. Det Steve Williams come in for a couple of matches. You had Terry Bam Bam Gordy for a couple of matches, and then WWE brought him in as the executioner under the mask. But the thing is that we just had a couple of matches, but we loved it. So I could see Samoa Joe maybe signing a 2-3 match deal with AEW, come in for a couple of matches, have a nice little payday out of it, get a little bit of work done, and then maybe it leads to something else. Velveteen Dream, I've been really trying to avoid like what would be best for him in the near future, but I think it might be best for him to go to New Japan. I understand immediately you're going to have social media tell AEW stop doing business with New Japan since they're working with an alleged, so I could see that coming a mile away. But I think Velveteen Dream needs to, if he's going to wrestle again soon, he needs to go to a promotion that absolutely does not give a damn about the social media. And there are some promotions out there that will do that. Some promotions already are booking Drake Wirtz, so I also think Velveteen Dream should consider doing some work outside of the country. I think that's probably best for him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, man. Hey, I appreciate it, man, for letting us call in and everything like that.
No, we're going to build on this, man.
Some more questions, but I mean, I want to let somebody else on.
Yeah,
too,
well, you know what?
Next time, do more calls.
I think I may do some tomorrow.
Call in.
I think I may do some tomorrow. So if you're around tomorrow, you get in. Absolutely, man. I think we're going to do this tomorrow. I think maybe we'll mix that up tomorrow, have some fun with this. Because I tell you, this I didn't expect it to be this smooth, but I'm liking what so far, just for a spur of the moment, get a little bit of feedback. Mish, if you want to jet out of here, I did not realize that we already went 3 goddamn hours. Three goddamn, is it 3 hours? We started at 8:00. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's 3 hours, buddy.
Oh my God. So
how much
I guess
time you got in?
Yeah, I guess we could call it, man. I mean, what are we doing? Hours worth of calls? I mean, we had like six people, but you know what? It brings back memories, man. Do you take calls often on Soup?
Not anymore. No.
Yeah. Wow, I can't believe it's 3 hours already. Holy shit. Well, you know what? Yeah. Well, like I said, the envelope will be padded a little bit. I promise you.
Don't even.
No. But my friend, thank you for hanging out tonight. I know it was abrupt and you did not have to. I could have very well gone solo, but I wanted to have this discussion because I know, we can give our straight up views and, you made a lot of valid points tonight. I made a lot of valid points tonight. And the one thing I guess we got out of all of this is that, Aleister Black seems to be the most surprised by everyone out there. And,
sure.
This was fabulous, man. I thank you for hanging out tonight.
No, good show. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Thank you very much for having me on, guys.
Much love, my friend. Much love.
All right. Take it easy, DT.
Take care.
Bye.
Mish is fucking awesome, man. This is 3 days in a row I'm doing shows with him. We did Monday. We did Patreon yesterday. We did now. I tell you, I'm really happy with the way the calls went. I'll tell you the truth. You know, I mean, I obviously don't expect everyone to stick around much longer because it's getting late. But I don't know. I'm almost tempted to take a couple of more calls over here. But you know what? Let's do this. Let's do this. This show tonight was both of us, and I don't want to hijack it. Let's call this for tonight because tomorrow night, Thursday night, 10:05 p.m., I'm right back up here with the mailbag, Ask DT, whatever you want to talk about. And how's about tomorrow night we do mostly calls? You know, we'll mix it up a little bit, but I'll take calls throughout the night. I'll keep the system. I mean, I got a feel for a couple of things as we were going along. A couple of no IDs I was able to eliminate, but yeah, let's do that. So we'll pick up on this. Let everybody dissect this a little bit, digest it, you know, think about what was discussed tonight. We'll find out tomorrow if there's any additional releases. Obviously, we don't want to see any, but, you know, could very well happen. And we'll pick this up tomorrow. So, yeah, if anybody tried to call in today that wasn't able to, my sincere apologies. You know, like I said, we wanted to test this out. And honestly, I think this is going to be a pretty permanent thing going forth. Maybe not every single show will have calls, but some episodes each week I think we'll do some calls. But so yeah, if you're around Thursday night, join me right here, 10:05 p.m. Eastern. We'll do the mailbag and whatever's on your mind. You could talk about the releases. And you know what's cool about tomorrow? If you want to talk about anything else, you know, anything that's been on your mind and you've been wanting to confront me about, or if you just want to pick my brain about various topics, it doesn't have to be wrestling because Thursday night, anything goes. So, yeah, let's do that tomorrow night, everybody. So, one final before I get out of here. If you enjoyed the show, smash that like button, like, share, subscribe, The road to 20,000. I know we want to get to 50,000, but we got to get to 20 first. So, if you enjoy what we do, spread the word. Let your friends know. Post it on social media. Piss off, you know, the others out there. And, man, I tell you, congrats again to Lee. Best of luck with your wedding this weekend. All the best. And I hope you all could join me tomorrow night right here, 10:05 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, we'll take calls again. So, all right, I am out of here. And as I've been doing the last couple of episodes, where is it? Oh, yeah, I got to do that. You know we got to go out in only one way.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.